Today's podcast is brought to you by the Hounds of Baskerville, the traditional barbershop and shaving parlour. Looking a bit scruffy? Got a big date? Maybe you got an important meeting? Go online and book at hounds.sg. Getting robbed at gunpoint, dodgy poker games, and joining drama class. This is There's Something About David Dela Cruz.
I've got friends that
You don't work there anymore.
No, I mean, like, I don't know why I have to go there all the time. And I'm always telling my friends, I'm just like, because, you know, some of my mates, they're like old school Singaporean guys that have like, you know, creatures of habit. You know what I mean? So it's like Drinks and Co, Elbow Room. You know, these places used to be like where we go every Friday when they used to close up the streets.
Yeah.
But
they don't close it anymore.
No. So even it was pre-COVID that they stopped closing it, right?
Why?
So like, look, from what I've heard, because there's a few of the guys who like own the different bars around there, right?
Yeah.
And one of them was giving us like the scoop, and apparently like there's a community within Club Street, right? That kind of, I don't know, votes on stuff, right? On how things should be done, right? And there's this one guy who runs a restaurant just at the end of the street who's quite old school, and from what I hear, he's a bit of a tyrant in a way, or just how he runs things, right? So anyways, he, from what I heard back in the day, he was very jealous of Drinks and Co. And, you know, remember Drinks and Co? They were monopolizing that.
That's not
that
there
street.
anymore.
I mean, they're still there. But I remember at its peak, it had they had two venues almost right across each other.
Yeah.
And like, you literally, like, when you walk down, everybody was just like flooded on the streets, and like 90% of those people were likely probably going to Drinks and Co, right? And this guy, who's all the way at the end of the street, not gonna name the restaurant he's at, but whatever. Apparently, like had some big dispute with these guys, and when they came to voting or something about the rules of the street, he purposely like tried to vote against blocking the street. Right. And I guess because I don't know, got a lot of influence or whatever, nobody kind of like went up against him, right?
But if everyone's on the street, then basically as a venue you can have a larger capacity, and then the people aren't shared out around amongst the venues.
Basically, so what ended up happening, from what I heard, was that he used his influence to kind of like stop that happening, and the reason why was mainly being petty. Right, as completely out of pettiness,
or he's trying to make cash,
right? But like think about it this way, right? You're also affecting your business, right? Because you know you're voting against this, and now after it happened, they stopped blocking off the streets. The traffic in Club Street obviously dwindled down to like it's like 10. It's a relic of what it used to be, right?
Yeah, where really that dude could have just made his place fucking better.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
right?
what I mean?
Make your place better, or do something
better at your job,
as opposed to looking at other people's business and being like, "Oh, how come they're making so much money?"
Because it was nice when it was all closed off. It was kind of like European atmosphere.
Absolutely. So that was honestly like that was Club Street was actually the first impression I've ever had of Singapore. Because when I first came to Singapore, first of all, I do nothing about Singapore. Being Canadian, you know, we're all the way on the other side of the world, right? So, you know, call it ignorance. It's exactly what it is. We're like in a bubble. And I remember when I first heard about Singapore, because I got offered a job or whatever, and basically the point is my thoughts of what Singapore was like a jungle. And like, yeah, legitimately, like, because this was me pre-Googling it. You know what I mean? Like pre-Googling what Singapore was. Somebody was like, "Hey, would you be interested in a job in Singapore?" And this was when I just moved to Dubai. And I was like, "Why would what? No. Like, you know, I just moved here, and what the hell is Singapore?" Like, and in my head...
you thought like all the buildings were made of bamboo?
Literally, like, I had an image in my head. I'm like, so would this be like in like, you know, like tree houses or something? You know what I mean? Like, I had this honestly, like...
What did you think the job was?
Because it was a sales job, right? So... So just to backtrack a little bit, because this sounds like I'm real stupid.
You're going to sell fish from the river. I've got this nice like...
No, because you know when you think of, when I looked at Singapore, I was like, oh, Singapore's right next to Malaysia, and I knew a little bit about Malaysia because I liked reading about like all these like facts on like, you know, animals and fauna and things like that, right? So I knew that Malaysia had all these like crazy like fauna that you don't necessarily...
the biggest flower.
Yeah, the biggest flower, the one that's...
Raffalace.
Yeah, it smells like corpses, or, you know, all these kind of weird things, right? So when I hear Singapore, it's, oh, Singapore is right next to Malaysia. Somebody mentioned that to me. I was like, what? So, in my head, I'm just like, I'm going to be working in like, I was like in the middle of the jungle, you know what I mean? And things like that.
Do they have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
How will I do it?
And then I Googled it and I was like, damn, like, okay, it looks pretty developed, right? And then I ended up visiting once, and yeah, so circle back, my first impression of Singapore nightlife was, I'm pretty sure it was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday night on Club Street. My boss back then. So I was traveling with my ex-girlfriend then, and we were going to go visit Thailand, and we had like a day or two layover, and we're like, let's just visit Singapore because my boss was there telling me to move from Dubai to go to Singapore and experience what it's all about. So we went here. I remember landing, and I was like, wow, this is a lot different from what I obviously expected, right? And it was very refreshing because I was in Dubai for about a year and a half at that point. And if you ever lived in Dubai, man, like you just know like what it's like. It's hot, it's sandy. You know what I mean?
Well, it's pretty hot here.
I know it's hot here, but like Dubai is a different hot.
Yeah.
Like you're scorching and you're in the middle of the desert. You know what I mean?
40 degrees
Absolutely.
every day.
Like you can't sit in your car if it's been sitting up for more than 10 minutes in the sun,
right?
Because like it is just
it's
scorching.
a desert.
Absolutely, right? So it was refreshing because also in Dubai everything is artificial, right? It's man-made, right? Like this palm tree or this bush here is wasn't naturally
there before.
Exactly, right? Somebody went in there and like made it essentially. Whereas we landed in Singapore, and I was like, "Wow, trees!" Like wow, lushness. Like
it is pretty amazing when you fly in, because I remember what you're talking about is similar to the experience that I had. Like you fly in and out of the airport, you get a car and you go along the road, and all the trees, like they're kind of like Jurassic, prehistoric looking things. I have the same memories.
Exactly. So. It was hugely refreshing, and I remember I kept using the word lush. I was like, oh my god, everything's so lush around here. It's awesome. You know what I mean? And then we went out it was like a day trip, and then anyways, point is at night, my boss was like, hey, you want to go for a drink? Right? And I got along with my boss very well. It's funny because I've had the first impression of him in the beginning, and then as soon as I met him, we like clicked right away. It was awesome. Anyways, him and I went out for a drink. It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I went to Club Street, Elbow Room, Drinks and Co. And like we got a bottle of Crown Royale. It was just us two, and we started drinking, right? And what I really loved about the experience was, especially because I was contrasting from my Dubai experience, that everybody was friendly, right? And everybody, at least like maybe I had like repressed. The social interactions, and because in Dubai it's not necessarily like that, you know what I mean? Anyways, but my point is everybody was friendly and we had a lot of fun.
Well, people aren't so friendly in Dubai.
Look, people are friendly, but how can I put this? I didn't have a lot of fun. I didn't have a lot of fun living in Dubai, frankly. Circumstances are a little different because I was in a different part of my life then. I had just moved out of Canada, went into Dubai, Canada being the country that it is, and then going into Dubai, the country, and being in the Middle East. It was a big huge culture shock. Yeah, it was a huge culture shock. So it took me a long time to adjust, and there were a lot of things that I was like almost flabbergasted about, and I just had to learn to accept it, right? And it's my first time actually being abroad and like living as an expat, right? So growing up,
I think but it's also different, like visiting, like you get a culture shock, but like living somewhere as well, and you've got to go to that government office to fill in that form,
exactly,
and I've got to find this and that.
Yeah. So the first 2 weeks I love Dubai because it's all glamour and glitz and all that kind of stuff, right? But when you start noticing the cracks when you live there. So, when people ask me about Dubai, I say, honestly, it's an awesome place to visit if I ever could visit again. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't live there again.
It's also super structured, right? Like
super structured.
Like everywhere is different, right? And everywhere has different things that are okay, and I would say most places have like societal. I don't know if that's how you say it. Structure, but like the local people are like on a pedestal, right? And then there's like clear lines of structure underneath it, and all the way to people that
Yeah.
you know, do not menial jobs,
The legwork.
the legwork,
Society.
yeah, the labor,
peasants.
yeah, like but it's considered that way,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Well, how is it?
So yeah, I mean, like, look, the Emirati, who are the locals,
Yeah.
literally live like kings.
Yeah.
You know, like, because you need like for example, if you want to start a business, you need to have a local sponsor. You know what I mean? And they're needed for everything, right? There's also like a quota, I believe. If like, you know, if you run a business and you have X amount of people in that business, you must have at least one Emirati person who's going to be employed in that business as well. It's almost like, you know, you have to have a quota of visas.
Same
right?
as here.
Same as here, right? But in reverse. Not in reverse, but a little bit different, because when you hire an Emirati, they don't do anything. they don't do work.
Are you allowed to say that?
I'm just saying it's true, right? Because like I've seen you know, I've walked into like a government facility, for example, right, trying to get like my driver's license, right? And you know, there's obviously a bunch of people handling queues of people, like, you know, and servicing them, right? And you see like two local guys just in the back, just like on their phones, like, you know,
Just
laughing,
chilling.
you know, chilling, and you always know who they are because they all wear the kadura, I think it's called, like, you know what I mean, like, yeah, you know, and they have the, like, so you know, it's like, look, that's an Emirati, you know what I mean? It's like they have the uniforms, right? So you just see them all just like, hanging out while everybody else is just like, you know, laboring, you know, and it's
And they're
obvious-
taking it easy.
exactly, and this is not just like a one-time. I lived there for almost 2 years, so it's just like, you know, you walk into a place, you go to a bank, and there's a bunch of people working and servicing you, and you know, it's like almost every single time you can see like one or two guys just slacking off. In
I'd
the back.
love to be an Emirati.
Oh, dude, like, you know,
it
you
sounds
get
like
paid.
a good life.
You get paid. Okay, this I don't know how accurate this is, but based on what I've heard, you get paid from the government for every wife that you marry. Okay.
How many
That's
are you
polygamy, right?
allowed?
You're allowed, I think, 7. Right?
7.
So like you get paid, and it's not like, you know, chump change. Like, let's just say a few grand a month for every wife that you have.
Right.
So obviously encourages you to like, shoot, I'm just gonna marry 7 wives, because then
Yeah.
if I have 7 wives, then I get paid X amount every month. Furthermore, for every kid that you have for every of those wives, you also get paid. So
If they got, are they trying to increase population?
I mean, it sounds like it, right? But I mean, regardless of that, if you just look at it objectively, how awesome is that life? You know what I mean?
It's amazing.
You know, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're set for life. So
you just marry and make babies.
you procreate, you marry, and you know, you don't have to marry one person. You can marry up to 7. You know what I mean? So, you know, and it's insane. So, you know, they are literally living like kings there.
Wow.
You know?
And there's a lot of like, sort of old money, right? Like family money that gets passed down
Yeah.
by generation,
It's
and,
all-
and there's a lot of that oil money is there as well,
I,
right?
I assume so. You know, I've never really looked at. I've never had an Emirati friend. Like, you know, being Filipino as well. So that's one other thing I didn't really like about Dubai, is that you're kind of like categorized from the get go.
Yeah.
You know, and me coming from Canada, like all freedom and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's ingrained in us, right?
Yeah.
Going to Dubai, I felt very discriminated
Mm-hmm.
because I'm Filipino. You know.
But okay, so because I've heard from other people, you kind of got, and I might have got this wrong. Like, there's the Emiratis, there's the other Arab nations,
yeah.
and then there's kind of like white people,
yeah.
and then what you start getting under that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it sounds so horrible to say,
It's
like,
like a
under
caste
that,
system.
right,
like it.
right, and then there's like, kind of, I've heard like there's a lot of like Filipinos, sort of, and then there's-
Africans, lots of Africans.
right, and Indian people
Yeah,
and
Indian,
Bangladeshis, like, and they're sort of doing jobs that are like more around construction or maids and stuff like that.
Exactly. So that's what I didn't like. It was like you're categorized based off of, you know, your skin, essentially, right? So like, it's almost as if like, okay, if you're a Pakistani guy, for sure you're a taxi driver,
Right.
right? Most of them are taxi drivers. If you're an Indian guy, you're probably a civil worker. You know what I mean? Doing the construction, stuff like that. If you're African, more likely you're going to be janitor or something like that. You know what I mean?
It's just literally like
That's
that.
how, I mean, like, I don't want to make it sound like that's, make it sound as bad as it is, but like that's how I felt. That's my perspective of it, at least.
But then there could be some people that are from those countries or ethnically the same, but like they do have like a good job, right?
Exactly.
Like it's allowed, but it's very rare.
Exactly.
And you were in that minority.
That's my point. Is that like, so I'll tell you a story. I was at a bank once, and you get the queue numbers in the bank, right? And I got a queue, and we're waiting. Like, and my pet peeve, I just hate waiting sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just an impatient fuck sometimes. Like, it's like the grab's taking too long. I'm like, fuck, where's the fucking grab? just that way. So, anyways, ended up getting a queue number, and I've been waiting for like a good 20, 25 minutes, and then, this Emirati guy just comes in and butts the line, and he's like, "Oh, I missed my queue," and yeah, he just like buds in, and I got really pissed off, and
But you can't say nothing, can you?
I didn't really I didn't really, but I kicked up a fuss a little bit. You know what I mean? And they didn't necessarily look at me like, whatever, it's not a big deal. It's a Filipino guy, whatever. Right?
Oh, as in you didn't have the right to kick up a fuss.
Right? And then all of a sudden, like, I guess I kicked it up a little bit harder and started talking to the guys, and I guess they heard my Western accent. You know what I mean? And how I was articulating how pissed off I was. And then they kind of like switched gears, just realizing, oh, shit, it's not like, your average Filipino customer service guy. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
He's from the West or whatever it is. So they started treating me a little bit better, right?
Which they shouldn't.
Which they shouldn't,
Yeah.
And I was like, great. But at the same time, I felt kind of bad. And I was like, why am I being treated like this? You know what I mean? And I would go to bars sometimes in Dubai, and I'd always get treated by like a bartender who was Filipino, and I'd connect with these guys, and they're fun to talk to. So I felt really bad, and that's what I didn't like about it. It was just a blatant, like a caste system, and that's when you start seeing these cracks in the society rather quickly. So that's why I always say, like, back to what I was saying, it's a great place to visit. I'd go back if I could for like 2 weeks or whatever, but I wouldn't live there again. You know what I mean? Society was just too different. Right? Yeah.
I know someone who they went there. They're from here, and they're sort of like more feminine in their nature.
I see.
Like and they're both. One was trans, and one was gay. But they were very respectful of it of the culture when they went there and stuff like that. And they were, I believe, like in a shopping center, and they got arrested.
For what? For being them?
I think they said for wearing feminine clothes, which they kind of.
Okay, I get it.
They were aware of that and didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know what they were wearing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got arrested and put in jail. Like they weren't wearing dresses and stuff.
Dubai jail. Must
They were wearing like, from what I hear, like just jeans and a shirt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like maybe those jeans was like a little bit tighter than normal, or I don't know. But yeah, I think a week.
Yeah.
In jail.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And I would man, I would I've never been in jail before in my life. But if there's any jail that I don't want to go to, it's somewhere in the Middle East,
right,
or somewhere in South America. You know what I mean? And this just based off hearsay and what you see in the movies, right? But like, I could just imagine what it'd be like.
Have you read that book, Marching Powder?
No, what's that?
It's a true story, right? So there's a jail in La Paz, which is Bolivia, right?
Okay.
And La Paz, Bolivia. Carl?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I'll take your word for it.
Like basically, this guy gets arrested. He's a drug smuggler. He goes into jail. He's from the UK, and this Australian guy kind of meets him, but he's not been in the jail. Well, he's not been sentenced there. But apparently, the way the jail system works is when you go in, you've got nothing. You don't have a cell, you don't have anything. But within it is its own community, its own economic community.
Really?
Yeah, so you sort of build your way up, like you somehow get something from the outside in and you sell it, or someone employs you and gets you to do something for them and you earn within it, and then there's like,
That's crazy.
Just like any jail, I imagine, like if you're high up in a criminal way, you get favors, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know, you've already got a network in there perhaps or whatever. So there's guys in there with TVs. There's guys with their family.
Yeah.
There's guys with their families in there. And yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, so the thing was, right, it was in the Lonely Planet guide. So this is how some of these people were making the money, is tourists would come to the gate. The inmate would like negotiate, right, a fee to do a tour of the prison. You give a bit to the guard, and you keep your bit.
Okay.
And it was in the Lonely Planet. And you go through and you get a jail tour. Do you know what I mean?
But I've been to a jail tour when the jail's like closed down. And
no,
like,
this is fully functioning.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, oh hey, look, here's a serial killer.
Yeah, and that's how it was, right? And that's how this guy got in and befriended this guy. I think his name was Thomas, the guy that was incarcerated. And he just started, living in there a bit and writing his life story and understanding how it works and hearing that guy's story. And
So this was like his first-hand experience, essentially, the book.
yeah, I've heard they're going to make a movie. Like, it's a pretty amazing book.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea. Again, I've never been to jail before.
Yes.
So the only thing I've seen is like what scares me the shit out of me is, you ever seen the show Oz?
Yeah.
Like, the HBO was like a long
Yeah,
time ago.
I remember it.
Man, that was graphic as hell. You know what I mean? And like, obviously an I'm gonna assume it's exaggerated. You know what I mean? But growing up, I was like 13 years old. Getting into mischief and stuff like that, and then
It's enough to keep you on the straight and narrow.
I'm just like, oh shoot, like it's all worth it if I end up going someplace like Oz.
I visited one once, and it was a minimum security jail in Australia. It was like a girl that I was seeing at the time. It was her cousin. I'd never met him, and she was kind of like, "Oh, we've got to see my cousin. Like, can you come?" I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, so I went there. It's kind of like you feel a bit on edge, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you sort of go in and you get checked, and then like we're sort of sitting there, and he was having a cigarette that wasn't a cigarette.
Oh, okay.
in the jail, right?
In jail.
Yeah.
So the inmate was.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like, fuck, like, and then we were just like talking and whatever, and they were talking about stuff, and he was talking about what he's going to do when he gets out, that like, that some guy who's got a boat, and they're going to sail here and do there, and yeah, I don't think he was necessarily becoming reformed. Yeah.
So that's what I don't get, right? Like, I've seen clips these days on like social media of like, oh, this guy's in jail, like rapper's in jail, you know what I mean? And he's playing PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4, whatever the hell it is, playing GTA nonetheless. GTA is like, I'm going out there and doing drive-by shootings and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're supposed to be reformed, or going through this like process of being reformed, right? And you're supposed to be remorseful. It's like, oh man, I committed a crime. I stole a car and I ran over a kid, and now I'm in prison for it. Let me play a video game and do the exact same thing. You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense.
I think every prison system's got its own different way,
Exactly.
right? America one seems bad.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, again, like
it's a business, an industry.
This, I, unless you've actually been in prison, I don't think, it's all just hearsay, right? Like, I've got a mate who's been to prison in Singapore, right?
Right. Serious.
Yeah. It reformed him, frankly,
Yeah.
right? Because, like, prior to him going in, he had a bit of a temper issue. He'd like get mad over everything. The reason why he was in prison was for his temper.
Right.
Not gonna get through the details, but it was a temper issue. So now he went in for 5 months, and 5 or 6 months, whatever it was. Got out like early in good behavior. This is how they always do, right? And point is, now that he's out, he's the most gentlest giant ever.
Right.
Like, he's a huge guy. He's like 6'5", muscles. Like, he's huge, right?
Is he Singaporean?
Guy. Yeah, Singaporean guy. And but yeah, he's like the most gentlest giant now.
So you knew him before?
I did know him before, not as well as I know him now.
So you saw the temper play out, or not?
You can definitely see the difference, because
Or was he like fighting in the streets, or was he just
would be
like
that type of
argumentative?
Yeah, like he'd be like, if he'd be very heavily opinionated, and he would, You know, okay, so like for example, he'd beat somebody up for arguing over sports, that type of like temper issue.
Yeah.
You know, but now like like you can make like back then I'd be afraid to crack jokes at the guy, and like me, like I poke fun at a lot of people, you know what I mean, and just like
now you turn up at the bar and you see him and you like crack him on the back of the head. Hey man,
maybe not that far,
okay.
but I there'll be I'll make a few jokes about him, and like it's all well and good, and I dish it out, and if they dish it to me, I'll accept it as well. That's just how it goes. But I wouldn't have done that to him back in the day because
you clatter.
You know what I mean? I'd be like, this guy's gonna dislocate my shoulder or something if I make a quip about his shirt. So, but now it's much better. So
Yeah.
I now know him a lot. Like we're now much better friends than what we were before. Before I wouldn't necessarily say we were friends, more acquaintances, and I just knew him of his temper. Now we've become very good friends.
Right.
And maybe it's a combination of what Jail had done in the sense of changing his mindset and perspective of life, as well as me getting to know the guy better, because again I was just an acquaintance with him before, and now I get to know him better. That's probably another reason why I've started to like him a lot more. My point is that his experience of Jail it didn't sound that bad, frankly.
Really?
There were everybody worked out a lot. There's a lot of like working out. He likes to work out. He's like, again, huge, muscular, this guy and the other. So, his experience was he just worked out a lot and like made a lot of good friends in there, and like he just talked shit and like, what are you gonna do, and talk about girls and all all that kind of stuff, right? But the experience itself, he wasn't like, he didn't come out with like, deep eyes and like trauma, like when you kind of expect somebody to come out with like trauma and like oh my god, it almost came out like, actually that was good for me,
Right.
you know what I mean? And
he explains it that way, and
he explains it that way, right? Like he recognizes it, helped him recognize what brought him into there, and definitely did reform him and definitely changed him as a person. Do you know what I mean? Mind you, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other things in his life that turned him to where he's at now.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that was a big factor in having that type of experience. So again, I don't think that, us talking about jail and going to prison, like this is all literally Netflix and HBO stuff, But until you've actually been there, you won't really know the experience. And again, back to your point, depending on where the jail is as well,
right,
you're gonna have different experiences as well.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know what Singapore jail is like, but I would imagine it's not as bad as what we think American jail is like.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you seen that show Scared Straight?
Yes.
So good. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if they still make it or whatever. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have. I remember I watched the very first series, which is
I think
4 decades ago or something.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's that old?
Yeah.
I didn't realize so old.
If
Dude,
you watch the very first
so
one,
funny.
it's amazing, man.
Yeah, man.
Because it's a whole, I don't know, vernacular's different, the way people talk different, and I suppose, I'm sure the crimes were the same.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. There's just something about it which is just comical.
It's hilarious.
I love
man.
seeing those like tough little kids coming in there and then like just shitting themselves.
Yeah, no, but the best one was, okay, I don't know, this is the infamous one. It's a clip, and I'm sure you can find it online somewhere, but there's this really like not tough looking kid. You know what I mean? Like a bit of a chubby guy, the white kid with like glasses, you know what I mean? And what Scared Straight does is like they put these kids in these situations and let's try to scare the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there was like this inmate that was like behind a door, right? And the door was just like slightly ajar. You know what I mean? And he was like trying to scare the kid or whatever, right? And like the corrections officer was like, hey, do you want to go in there? Or are you afraid of this? Blah blah blah. And the kid's just like so nonchalant. He's like, no, I'm not. And he's like, why aren't you scared? He's like, because you're not opening the door fully. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the kid just fully calls them out, like, literally calls out, like, the show. It's like, I would be scared if you allowed the guy to come out, but your foot is on the door. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know what I mean? Like,
You got me.
yeah, like, if you're the producers of the show and a kid does that, you're kind of just like, fuck, now what? You know what I mean? It's almost like the Will Smith slap. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that moment when you can see in Chris Rock in his face, and he's just like, "Fuck, now what?"
Do you reckon it's real?
Man, honestly, I I do because I don't know, man. Like, okay, here's the thing, right? The battle that I have is because they're actors.
Yeah.
These guys are actors, and they could be putting on an act, obviously, right? But there was genuinity, man, in Chris's face.
The bits that I think is the bits that caused me to question it is if anyone walks up to anyone and slaps him in the face hard like that, because his arm was back.
Yep.
You can knock people out,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like there was a bouncer where I grew up, and that was he was kind of known for it,
Slapping.
for knocking people out with slaps.
Okay.
There's an MMA fighter that's known for a Baz Rutten, and just so Will Smith's a big dude, far bigger than Chris Rock, goes up and gets like a full wind and like gives him this slap, and then Chris Rock kind of also it looked very Hollywood, like he kind of he went with it and all that type of thing. He came up and he telegraphed it.
I know what you mean.
But then why would you make that up? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I also think that you've been on stage before?
On a stage,
On
yeah,
a stage,
yes.
right? When you're on a stage, there's a natural theatrical vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been in plays.
What stage? Oh, have you?
I've been in plays.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been in a few plays. Like, you know, I was a drama kid growing up. Man, it's a funny story because I wasn't a drama kid to get started, but I kind of
Very dramatic now, David.
Yeah, I am a dramatic person. Actually, so I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of got into it, is because my English teacher, kept like, you know, prodding me to go, basically. And eventually, I got into mischief in school, and I had to do like community service. You know what I mean?
And your community service was doing drama.
My community service was to do stage crew in drama. Right?
Because at school, that's not a cool thing to do.
Of course not.
Like,
you know,
it's a very uncool thing.
Exactly.
That can get you beat up.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I was in stage crew, and I'm like wearing all black, and like I'm the guy who like changes the props when, like, you know, I have to change scenes or whatever, and I'm over there like literally, you know, in backstage watching everything unfold, you know, and damn, I was like, this is cool, because these are my classmates, you know, like, you know, I might have not been friends with all of them because we were drama kids, right? But at the end of the day, like, I started getting
you weren't friends because
I know. I just heard myself
for no
say
other
that.
reason. For no other reason.
You're a drama kid? I can't be friends with you.
Sorry. This is not going to work.
Look. In North America, maybe not as in Canada, maybe not as much as America, but there is a little bit of those cliche high school, you know, way of life. Do you know what I mean? Like, the goths are goths, the jocks are jocks, the drama kids are drama kids. You know, and they're.
Well, there's labels, right?
In a way,
Yeah.
you know, and like it sucks because you're just growing up as kids, and this is just me, and now I'm like labeled as this, you know. But anyways, this is what it was, right? And the drama kids were always weird, you know. They were just always weird. So, you know, I wasn't always friends with all of them. Frankly, they were always weird, and you know, I wasn't friends with all of them. But my point is, when I became stage crew and I started like seeing them, I really started respecting them because they knew all their lines. You know, you can see you looking at the stage, the audience. All their glares are just like, they're just staring at this guy delivering his lines, he's practicing for like months to do it. You know, and man, it was beautiful.
And you got to get that right.
Yeah.
Like, there's no like, I'll cut. We'll do that one again.
Exactly. So, anyways, back to why I was saying this is that I think that when you're on stage, and back to the Will Smith slap. Yes, it might have looked like it could have been acted, but because they were on stage and Chris Rock was on stage and he was just, you know, delivering a speech or whatever, it could have just been, you know, a natural reaction, in a way, instinct, that for him to kind of act a little exaggerated for whatever did happen. Do you know what I mean? But that look, man, that look he had, and the way he had to, you know, he had to, like, he looked in the camera, he swallowed, and he was just like, oh man, like, that was the craziest night in television history or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What am I
like,
going to say now?
Yeah, you know, and like, there's some genuinity to certain things, right? Like, do you remember when Kanye West was on national live TV and he's like, George Bush does not like black people? Have you ever seen that clip?
I know.
This was in the Hurricane Katrina thing. This was just when Kanye was like, you know, becoming someone. you know?
Right.
And Hurricane Katrina happened, and New Orleans was like flooded, and I think the whole fiasco about it was FEMA, or like the people that were supposed to come in for these natural disasters, took like forever to save these people, and they were doing like some PSA thing, all the celebrities, and it was it was Michael Myers, it was Kanye West,
Austin Powers,
Mike Myers and Kanye West, and they're like over there like, oh, please donate, this, that, and the other, and you just see like Kanye like straight to the camera, he's like, George Bush doesn't like black people. And you could see Mike Myers just like, you know what I mean? And then it cuts, and it goes to Chris Tucker, right?
Okay.
And then Chris Tucker's like, like literally on screen, it just cuts to him, and you're just like, anyways, and he just continues on. So that's that was genuine as hell. Like, you can't tell me that was scripted, and that's the same look that I felt Chris Rock had when Will Smith slapped
He did
him.
look shocked.
Oh man, he looked shocked, and that's why I personally feel that was the genuinity in that face.
Maybe Will Smith just bit shit at slapping people.
Maybe and I also think
But he
that,
played Ali.
Yeah, but okay, I also think that Will Smith was going through like an issue. Like, he's obviously going through stuff.
I think
you know
so.
what I mean? And it's such a damn shame because he was my idol growing up. You know what I mean?
The Fresh Prince.
Absolutely, man.
And DJ Jesse's Jeff.
Dude, like you know me. Like most of 25% of my humor mainly comes from Will Smith growing up. You
Really?
know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's him. You know what I mean? How many times do I say that? You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
So, literally he was my idol, growing up, and it's just like a damn shame that this has to happen to him.
Yeah,
of all
right.
celebrities, I loved him the most.
Really?
I still do. Like, the slap does it. I mean, like, look, I feel bad for him because he's clearly going through shit. So my point is that maybe that slap. Like, can you imagine going through some emotional situation? You going up on national live TV, and I'm gonna slap this guy, I'm gonna slap this guy, I'm gonna slap this guy in your head. Maybe you got nervous, and that's why that slap wasn't, all in.
I suppose by the time that he gets up and starts walking to him, he has time to realize, oh shit, what am I doing? And then it's kind of like he's probably torn and thinking, well, I kind of have to do it now, or he can't just go, oh, actually, I changed my mind.
Yeah.
Or maybe he can.
Yeah, he should have.
And then, yeah, right.
That would have been a better story.
And then it's like, and then if his mind is kind of like, well, I have to do it now.
Yeah.
Then it's like, maybe I don't try to break his jaw.
Yeah. That's what I mean, right? Because remember in the clip as well, when he walks back, he's smirking, right?
Yeah,
He's
because there
smirking.
is smirking and stuff.
They're smirking. But I also think it might have been smirking because he's thinking to himself, fuck, what the fuck did I just do? You know what I mean?
Or is he smirking to be like, if I smirk, then people might think it is a bit of a joke and I might not get in trouble as much.
But if that's the case, then you wouldn't go back and start yelling out, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth, twice, bellowing. You know what I mean?
He sounded like Buffalo Bill when he said, put the lotion in the basket.
Puts the lotion on her skin.
He sounded like that.
Can you put your mic just a touch away from yourself?
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's just hiding your
No problem.
hiding your hands.
Oh, hiding my hands in the face. Oh, thanks, man.
Actually, can you just move it up and...
Is this better?
Yeah, you sounded like Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, and Buffalo Bill's funny, man. Had a lot of jokes on that one. But anyways, it's just crazy. It was just a crazy,
It was
crazy
mental.
thing, I remember, it's funny because I feel so guilty because I've been looking it up, because I told you that I love Will Smith so much, right?
I never knew you
I
loved
really
Will
love Will Smith a lot growing up, Fresh Prince was like, I could probably recite 50% of their jokes verbatim. You know what I mean? Because I just love that show so much. So I feel guilty because there's a war going on in Ukraine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's...
I'm Googling Will Smith more than I am the fucking Ukraine war, and I don't know why.
Yeah, that's a reflection on you, David.
Yeah, I know.
I'm joking.
Yeah, man. So it's just funny. It's just
Wow.
funny. You know what I mean?
So the reason we're talking about that is because you became one of the drama kids.
Yeah. Oh yes.
That you didn't
Exactly.
that you weren't be able to be friends with.
So I was in stage crew, and I got inspired. And the next year, because this was, I think I was in second or third year when I had to do
how
this.
old is that in
15, 16 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, So the next year, I auditioned. All right. Now
Did-
the funny thing is,
Did the teacher ask you, or did you make that own decision?
I made my own decision.
Cool.
I was like, I want to do this. So here's the funny part though. So the way my school, my high school, my high school was actually quite famous for their plays. Like there was a bit of a community, and everybody would come every year. So they would alternate. They would do a normal play, like a normal play, and then a musical. Right. So they would alternate every year. It would be a normal play, musical, normal play, musical. You know what I mean, right? So when I did stage crew, they were doing the Three Musketeers. It was wicked. They brought like a fencing choreographer in, and like they were playing with swords, and like it was wicked. Like,
So hang on, how does it work? Like you study the whole year to do one production?
yes. So like from the beginning, because what school starts at like September, right? So you do auditions like literally,
Starts in September.
like that's when our school curriculum would start in September
Really?
and end in June, end of May, June.
Ours start in February,
Oh, interesting.
and normally on my birthday.
Oh wow,
I
That
didn't.
sucks.
A lot of the time, I didn't go.
It's my birthday. I'm not gonna start my year off this way.
Sorry. So September.
September. So let's say school starts September 1st. By the time end of September, auditions have already taken place. You know what I mean? And you have to do the productions, and we would present the play or whatever come towards the end of the year. So the whole year, you're literally like, taking time off, it's an extracurricular activity, right? So if you're a drama kid, you'll get credits for it. But if you're not a drama kid, you're just doing it for the hell of it, right? And that's what I was doing, because I didn't end up taking drama. I was just like, fuck, I really like it. So I
Were your friends teasing you?
a little bit, but at that point, I didn't care,
Yeah.
because I was getting a little bit older, and when I was younger in high school, my first year, I was so worried about what everybody thought. I was the biggest tryhard ever. Cringe, dude, cringe. It was just so bad. But yeah, like at that time, I didn't care. I was starting to kind of get to know who I am a little bit more, so you can tease me whatever you want, and I just was really into it. So I auditioned the next year, and the next year was a musical. So I had to audition for a musical.
The Musketeers was musical.
The Musketeers was not the musical.
Oh, you didn't make that one?
No, because that was the stage crew one. So that was the one I got and that was what inspired me, because I was seeing the
Oh, so
production.
Musketeers was community service.
Yes.
Right.
And then the next one was our the one that I auditioned for, which was Guys and Dolls. I don't know if you ever heard of Guys and Dolls, but it's about it's based in the 1920s, Prohibition time or something
Right.
like that. There's a bootlegger, and anyways, point is it was a musical bit, and there was a lot of singing involved, right? So my audition had to involve singing, right? And dude, I'm Filipino, man. You know what I mean? So
Oh, so you can sing.
I'm not saying that I'm not like a freaking I'm not American Idol, but I love singing. Like I'm not gonna sing now,
Sing!
dude. No, I'm not.
I
Gonna
think you
sing
should
now.
sing.
I
Sing the song from the musical.
So I auditioned with I'm not gonna do it, dude. Really putting me on the spot here. Really putting me on the spot here, huh? Can you imagine? I just start like
It's all
throwing
right.
it. That'll be the best episode
It's
ever.
all right. We've got 2 more hours where we can to sing.
In any case, so I had to sing a song, and I auditioned with Razzle Dazzle. I don't know if you know that song. It's from Chicago. Richard Gere.
How does it go?
Nice try. But in any case, yeah. So I sung it in front of a lot of these people who I had the reputation of a bully growing up.
Did you?
Unfortunately, and I regret it. But a lot of people
Was the reputation deserved?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Because I was such again cringe,
Yeah.
right? I was a real prick growing up, And in any case, so a lot of these people, when they saw me audition, especially I had to sing that song, which was a very Frank Sinatra-y song. You know what I mean? Man, I had a freaking standing ovation.
Really?
You know what I mean? And I don't know if it was in my audition, right? And I don't know if it was because of it was the surprise or whatever it was, or if it was actually.
Well, maybe those people were kind of like, yeah, now's going to be our turn to put shit on you, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? So it was one hell of an experience, and I actually got a part in the play. So the next year I presented in Guys and Dolls.
Give him the old
Razzle
razzle-dazzle.
Razzle dazzle.
Okay. We got singing.
That's basically
we
what I
got
did,
singing.
you know what I mean?
Okay.
So you really tried to put that on. I even looked it up. It's like I gotta get him to sing at least one line. But in any case, yeah. So I did the play, and I didn't,
So you got the part.
I didn't get a major part because I was new. You know what I mean? So I did get a background part with a few lines, and actually had a few parts. So I played a gangster, like, which was perfect for me then, because that's the type of kid. I'm not gonna get into that. Point is, it was like an old school gangster, like pinstripe suit.
Yeah.
It was wicked.
Like Capone people, Elliot Ness, or that age.
That's one of the roles I got. The other role that I got was because as a background person, because you're not a main person, right? Or not main person. You're not like a main cast. One of the main cast. You can play multiple roles,
right,
because they don't really notice that it's the same guy.
Yeah.
If you're the main person, there's no way you can play anybody else but that main person, right? Mm-hmm. So I played somebody who was like in the mafia or whatever, and then I played a Spanish dancer. Yeah, man. Dude, it was fucking hilarious.
It sounds like an amazing way to shed your reputation as a bully.
It really, because honestly, after that, everybody looked at me differently. Like, they were like, "Oh, you're not so tough after all, huh?" You know what I mean?
Other people going, "Yeah, man, we can bully the shit out of this dude.
This guy.
I'm not scared of him anymore."
Dude, my outfit was hilarious.
What was it?
I had to wear. Have you ever watched Seinfeld?
Oh, yeah.
You know the shirt episode? Where he had to wear a shirt, and it was just like this white shirt that had
with
frills.
puffy sleeves and stuff.
I had to wear something like that, but it was red, and I was wearing white pants.
Like a flamenco dancer.
Yeah, because we had to
with red shirt with white pants.
Red shirt with white pants. Because
that's tough to pull off.
So the scene was like some, I don't know, Spanish Cuban bar or something like that, and there were two couples in the background dancing while the main characters in the play were like talking. And I'm one of those people in the background dancing with this girl, right?
Right.
And we had to choreograph this dance, and I was just frilly and and it was wicked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the experience itself was just like like you said, shedding my old skin, and now I'm it was just a wicked experience overall.
Wow.
And then so that was my that was what happened when I presented, and I fell in love with it. And ever since then, I've always thought about wow, drama's awesome, and I would love to be an actor and this, that, and the other, But yeah, never followed through after that. I kind of just ended there.
Oh, you didn't do anything after to pursue it or keep in touch with it?
So when I moved schools, I did, right? So I got expelled from my first high school.
Why?
Again, bad reputation, right?
Okay.
It was a
for being naughty.
I was naughty. I was very naughty.
Okay.
So I got expelled from my first school, and then my final year in high school, I ended up going to a different school, right? And how it works I went to a Catholic school growing up, and there's Catholic district school board, and there's a public district school board, right? And if you get expelled from one school in the Catholic district school board, you get expelled from all schools in that school board. So now you can't go to any Catholic school, you have to go to public schools, right? So that's what they were going to do for me. However, I was actually not bad in my studies, right? Even though I was a bit of a delinquent and bullying kids and doing all that kind of stuff, I got my work done, right? And I got decent grades. So my vice principal, who was an ex-cop, by the way, right? Imagine that, your VP, an ex-cop,
He's going to be pretty on it, right?
Dude,
if you're mucking around, he's going to know.
He was no bullshit, man. You know what I mean? But he looked at my grades, and he's like, you're actually doing pretty good. You shouldn't waste your life away, basically. So he said, we need to expel you from our school, but we're not going to expel you from the whole district school board.
That's kind of cool.
It was nice. And he said, which school do you want to go to? He gave me the choice to which school I wanted to go to. So I chose the school that I knew nobody in, because I didn't want to go I actually felt kind of bad. I wanted to reform myself a bit. So I didn't want to go to
That's pretty brave, when you're that age.
Yeah. I thought so, because if I ended up going to any school that I knew other people, I knew I was just going to go back down that same route of, being a delinquent and doing all these mischievous stuff when I was growing up. So I went to a school that I knew nobody in, and killed it. Like I think I was behind a few credits to pass. I thought for sure I was gonna stay an extra year, but like I took remedial classes and night classes, and I was able to graduate on time.
So you were like smart.
Well, I like to think
I
so.
would never. I would never have known.
I never would guess you were actually a smart person. Intelligence. Well, my point is back to what I was saying is that I did take drama in that school, and I did have a little. It wasn't a performance, but there was another. Probably my favorite, most memorable scene that I ever did was for this play called Equus. Have you heard of Equus before?
I think
it's awesome.
I hate. I can't watch Harry Potter because I hate Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that guy.
I hate him.
Dude, he's such a good
I'd
actor.
bully him.
Yeah.
I'd happily bully him.
Like,
no, he was in a play called Equus.
yeah, that's
in London.
and he was naked on
yeah,
stage.
yeah. There was, it was in the paper that he was naked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we did Equus,
Right.
And
Did you guys have to get naked?
no,
at school?
it wasn't that loud.
Okay.
But I don't know if you know the story, but the story is fucking insane, man.
I don't know.
It is like deep. It's like this is not a children's, play by any means.
Right.
Like it's about like a guy who kills a horse,
Okay.
right? And when he kills the horse, it's a kid who kills a horse. And when he kills the horse, he puts, I think he puts shards of glass in the horse's eye. No, that's a movie. Never mind. Anyways, he kills a horse, right? And
You shouldn't.
He shouldn't kill the horse,
don't-
obviously. Yeah.
Don't go around killing horses.
Anyways, I had to play that kid who killed the horse.
Oh.
Right?
So it was a major part.
Yeah. It was mind you, it wasn't a play. We were just studying this play, right?
Right.
The script, and we would have to do like scenes. Like I would be partnered up with like one or two of my classmates. Like drama class was like 12 people, right?
Yeah.
So out of the 12 people, it's split up in groups of threes, and then each group would present a different part of the play. You know what I mean? So I had to do a scene where, and it was a deep scene. It was a scene where like the main character, the protagonist, he kind of has a bit of a monologue talking a little bit about like his what's going on in his head and why he feels all this kind of stuff. And there's in the play as well, there's a psychiatrist and all this kind of stuff, right? So it's really deep. Like it's a complex.
How does he
complex
kill
play.
the horse?
I think he like slices his throat or something. I can't quite remember what it is. It's quite graphic.
Yeah.
And the play itself talks about like because I think his parents, one of them's religious, one of them's an atheist, and like growing up it caused issues about religion and all. It has to do with all this like again it's a deep play, right? So I had to do this scene, and man, honestly, like I gotta like when I look back at like what any type of drama like scene that I ever did or whatever, and I look back on, that was my favorite one. You know what I mean? Because it was really deep, and I felt like I almost had like tears welling up while I was doing the scene because I felt it. So that's why like again like I have a real appreciation for cinema and like actors and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's hard work. And a lot of us kind of look at like celebrities and actors and be like, what do you do? And some of them like you're right, like some actors and celebrities out there, I'm like, you're just yourself every fucking movie. Like Ryan Reynolds is exactly Ryan Reynolds every movie. You know what I mean? But there's some actors that like really get into it.
Yeah,
you gotta give them that.
Yeah, like Joaquin Phoenix sort of thing seems to be one of those. Those
like
people,
Joker.
Yeah,
when he played Joker or whatever, which was a wicked performance on its own. But yeah, that's
I didn't know all this stuff.
That was me, man. That was me. And man, if I could look like and I think everybody can say this about themselves, right? But if you see yourself a teenager again, the stuff that you tell yourself, right?
Oh, to do things different.
Yeah, if I saw myself, I just beat myself up. You know what I mean? Like, I knocked the shit out of myself. Like I was like, don't be like this. You know what I mean? Like because I deserved it, man. Growing up as a kid, I totally deserved it.
What? But then, do you? Like, why do you think you were like that? Do you think, like, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in Australia, like, if you're from a different country, like where I grew up, it was a bit rough. Like, if you were from a different country, you had to do something like what you did, or you would have got bullied. Was it like that?
Okay, so I wouldn't say how you are in the sense of, like, if it's a different country, you have to act different, because we are all immigrants in Canada. So the one thing I loved about Canada,
Same as Australia.
Yeah,
but people, I don't know.
but the thing I love, one thing I love about Canada is that, you know, I had such a diverse group of friends. You know, like all my friends were different. You know, like ethnicities, backgrounds, languages, whatever, and we all treated pretty much each other the same. Obviously, everybody have their cliques. Like, you know, like the Italian guys would hang out with mainly Italian people, and like, you know, et cetera, right? But you still would have a very diverse group of friends. So growing up, I never really had issues about like that, right? But I feel, especially in Toronto, like I can't talk about all of Canada, but I could talk about Toronto and I could talk about Scarborough. Scarborough is the neighborhood that I'm from.
Right.
Okay. So, do you know why? You've heard Toronto called the Six. Have you ever heard?
No.
You never. Okay. So people
Was
call
there 6 boroughs or something?
exactly right. So there's 6 boroughs of Toronto. That's why Drake has labeled Toronto the Six, and people, you know, call it the 6, right? And it's because of the 6, because of the 6 boroughs. Scarborough being one of those boroughs, right? Scarborough is different, right? At least I don't know what it's like now. You know, it's been 10 years, and obviously I'm an old man now, or older. I'm not a little kid, but growing up in Scarborough at that time was all about, at least where I was from, like trying to be a gangster.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, to be cool, you had to kind of like act tough, you know?
Well, so it was a rough borough?
I mean, there'd be a lot of fights. There'd be, you know, you'd get jumped. I got jumped a few times growing up. I got...
But not shootings and stuff. It's not like Compton was in that
there were
80s
shootings.
and 90s.
There were people that got killed.
Okay.
Like, there were definitely, like, you know, some of my peers that did get killed. You know what I mean?
Okay, so it was a rough neighborhood.
Yeah, it was. You know, like, there's definitely some rougher areas, like little pockets of little neighborhoods that you try to avoid. You know, but in any case, because you grow up you're a product of your environment, right?
Right.
And me growing up wanting to fit in, because I moved around a lot when I was a kid. I elementary school wise, grade school, from like grades 1 to 8, I moved like 6 times. 6 different schools.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
A lot of schools.
That's low.
Yeah. So because I moved around so much, I didn't end up having roots with people.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me to make like long-term friends. So
Plus, you were beating shit out of everyone else. So people, it wasn't very endearing.
So I think that's the reason why it happened, right? Because, you know, pretty much.
Why don't you be my friend? We got so much in common.
Why don't you love me? Why?
Tonight on the 6 o'clock news, reports of a young Filipino Canadian running around.
Be my friend. No, it wasn't like that. My point is that when I got to high school, because I moved around so much, I felt that I had to be tough to be someone. You know what I mean? And that's basically how I got into all that stuff that I got into growing up, where, you know, it eventually led me down a path of, like, I don't know, not doing good stuff. Let's just put it that way, right? And yeah, but like as you get older, obviously you start finding yourself. You know, it took me a little bit longer than everyone else, frankly, because, you know, I again, by the time I was in 16, 17, that's when I started realizing, okay, maybe I should have beat everybody up, because now everybody hates me. You know what I mean? Yeah, so growing up in Toronto was like that for me.
It wasn't like it was more product of the environment, not like nothing to do with race or anything like that sort of thing.
Not really. Like, you know, there's a lot of Filipinos. I never got along with Filipino people, frankly, growing up.
But you were born in Canada, right?
No, I was born in the Philippines.
Oh, I didn't realize.
So I was born in the Philippines till I was like about 3,
Right.
and then moved to Canada.
Okay. So you don't have much memories.
That's
of
it. You know, so I'm very like I always called myself, I'm the least cultured Filipino you probably ever meet, because I'm totally Canadian. I can't speak the language. I can understand a little bit here and there. I don't really like Filipino food. I don't really like, I don't know, I had this like stigma against just like, oh, I don't want to be Filipino for some reason, you know, growing up.
Right.
You know? I you know, but there were a lot of Filipinos there, and there were a lot of different races. So I never felt in Canada, I never felt like there was racism.
You didn't feel different.
No, right? Growing up. But it's funny, as I got older, I started seeing it.
In Canada
in
or
Canada.
other countries? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's because when you're growing up, you're kids and you're all teenagers and everybody's different ethnicities. So you're not going to feel racism between your peers. They're all different as well.
So is growing up in Toronto that it's very multicultural and there's harmony within that.
Yes.
Growing up.
Exactly. Right. But then when you get older, you start realizing, you know, the racism. And I think the more you go, like, again, Scarborough is, you know, where I was, which was a very multinational borough just in general. And Toronto itself is very diverse.
Like a melting pot.
Yes. But once you start leaving there and you start going about to the rural area of Canada, racism is just like blatant as hell, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's like Australia. Like in Sydney, you know, generally you're going to be okay. Melbourne, you're going to be okay. But when you go out a little bit further, people, I don't know, a bit more backwards.
Yep. I know. It's just, I mean, like, ignorance, right? At the end of the day, you know, like you're a product of your environment.
I was gonna literally say that.
Exactly, man. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can't blame them in a way, like, because they don't know any better. I mean, you can not like them for what they're saying.
Yeah.
But if you really dig deep down, it's like these guys just don't know any better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, fault them for the stuff they say because it's bad, but in terms of the way they think, sometimes if you look at it objectively, it's like you guys are part of the
But there's
environment.
messed up things about humans, right? Like, and I don't know if it's like goes back to ancient times, like, because if someone looked different, like say like we are living in caves and stuff like that, right? Like, and we know our little tribe, 40 people or maybe even less.
Yep.
If you see someone different, do you know what I mean? Like they got different markings on their face or different clothes, like that's danger, right?
Kill them.
Maybe.
You're right. In those days, it probably.
Yeah, right? Like, maybe even eat them. I don't know. But like, but it's kind of like, it was more brutal, right? So something different was a warning sign. And the reason like I have this like theory is, I showed this little kid and she was like 3, maybe 4. I think maybe 4. I showed this kid a picture of my mum, who's like Chinese.
Oh, yeah.
And this was in the UK.
Yeah.
And she was from a multicultural area, but probably hasn't sort of been exposed to it so much. And people of like Chinese ethnicity, or in the UK that they would call Oriental, there's not loads, like as far as population. There's a lot of immigration from Caribbean. There's a lot of immigration from Pakistan and India and Bangladesh, but not so much China and ethnically Chinese people. She looked at the picture and she went, I don't really like people that look like that.
Damn.
Yeah. But her parents weren't racist.
Huh.
There was no reason that
Were
I knew
parents
of
not racist,
that.
though? How do you know that?
No, like, I mean, I knew them well enough,
How
right?
old is this kid?
Like, I think like 4, I
No,
think.
man, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And I'll tell you a story.
Go on.
First, kids are innocent, man. Kids are innocent. They don't know this shit. You know, they're sponges. You know, and they, like, you know, we as adults, we can put up this facade or whatever we want, right? But behind closed doors, you're gonna say whatever the hell it is, and if your kid is there, they're gonna.
I agree with
right?
that.
So the story goes is that when I was in university, I took a course that was like, it was to study like African American culture, right? I was solely into rap, hip hop culture, and I was like, cool, you know, I need to have an elective course. Let me take this, learn a little bit more about Malcolm X and all these kind of stuff, right? Which I did. It was a really cool, a really cool course. Anyways, my teacher, awesome, like young, you know, black woman, right? And she was talking about an experience she had where, she was dating this white guy, and she was, you know, really close to their family. They're all nice and everything, right? And there was a kid there, and you know, the kid was like 3 or 4 years old, just like that, and you know, they were in like a family, you know, get together or whatever, and she was there. She was the only black woman there because everybody else was white. Again, she was dating them. The one of the like, you know, her boyfriend was there, and yeah, the kid said something like, oh, like something racist, you know, something like, oh, I don't want to hang out with you because you're black, or something like that. You know what I mean? And she looked at the situation and broke up with the guy like a week later. And the way she explained it, and I believe that this is where I'm saying, back to your experience, why I don't buy it, is that she's like, look, kids are innocent. You know what I mean? Like, that kid learned that from somebody. You know, it's not like that kid grows up and thinking like, I'm gonna be a racist. You know what I mean? I don't like black people. No, you know, they learn that from people.
Look, I agree with you, but I also wonder if there's deep inbuilt things in people where at a primitive and primal core, there's something that's in there. Because the other story that I have that supports this, and this guy I knew very well, and he was not like this type of person in any way, like to sort of be bad to people or anything like that, right? His kid, very young, like high chair at the table age, right? What would that be? Under 2. I'm not good with that type of thing. They're at a restaurant. Kid was eating, and there was a kid on another table, and he had Down syndrome. Okay. Right? And his daughter, and he said he was so shocked. His daughter was like eating, and she hadn't seen the other boy. It was a boy, and she was eating, and she had food in her mouth, and she looked up, and she saw the Down syndrome child, and she started like pushing the food out of her mouth, like that sort of thing, because it was like
gross.
Yeah,
like she felt like she was like gonna vomit.
Yeah, or no, I don't know, vomit, but just like, but it was her physical reaction to seeing that boy.
Yeah, I see it.
And she's so young, and their family's not like that in any way. So it's like, there's something, I don't know.
But like, I mean, again, I think in that situation, she was just a kid and just seeing something that was like.
But that's what I mean. Like, are we born with some sort of fear, and is it more the product of our environment pushes it out if we're in the right environment, or
I see what you mean.
or it gets instilled, or.
Well, I mean,
and it's probably not like, I don't know, like, say, like, we're taught to be told that spiders are dangerous.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So there's levels to it, right?
I see what you're saying. Like, look, I do think that as humans, we have these natural things about us biologically, right? Like, I was telling you that I'm Sapiens, the book. Right?
Yeah.
So
So I have to go to the toilet so bad.
Okay.
Can we cut and come back to it? I'm so sorry.
No
it's the
problem,
morning. It's terrible for
all
me.
All good. Man, I think your cat's giving me a bit of an allergy here.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
Do you want a histamine or something?
I think it's fine.
You sure?
It's funny.
Let us know if you do.
Yeah, I'm usually good with pets.
Yeah, right.
But I've never owned a cat before, so maybe I have an allergy I don't know about.
Don't go try making friends with this cat, please.
I won't.
I've seen your techniques.
Cat ends up with a black eye, right? Be my friend. Meow.
Oh man, your cat scratched me. I don't know why. You were Sapiens.
Yeah, Sapiens. So we're talking about like humans. In general, and they have their biological tendencies. So my wife has the book Sapiens, and she was reading it, and I was like, she was telling me about it. I was like, wow, this sounds awesome. This is exactly the type of stuff that I like to read up about, right? So I was reading it, and man, it puts me to sleep because I'm a fiction guy. You know, if I read fiction, like I could be up all night, like page after page, if I'm really into the book. When it's nonfiction, I'm like, it's like a lecture. I'm just gonna pass out, right?
Right.
So now I gave up reading the book. Now I'm listening to it as an audiobook, right? I'm starting to convert myself into like.
I've never heard an audiobook.
Oh man, it's awesome.
I don't even have time to read. That's why people go, oh yeah, I'm reading this. I'm like, how do you do that? Where do you find the
audiobooks, man? Like, like maybe when people say that they're reading, they're actually just listening, but saying they're reading. You know,
trying to act smart.
You know what I mean? Like, cause like
trying to make me feel bad.
Dude, like it's awesome because I could be doing work, and sometimes my work can be, in recruitment, like. Your
bosses could hear this.
Yeah, of course. No, she knows it. She knows it because like she sees me do it, right? Like I'll be listening to Sapiens while I'm like sourcing for candidates or something like that.
I wouldn't allow that.
Well, she does. She's an awesome boss. But in any case, Sapiens. There's a lot of what it mentions is that we as humans biologically have things in our DNA, right? That we as you know, as humans, we're foragers, you know, and we're, as you know, our you know, all of these things that we're doing now is kind of against what our biological makeup does. Not everything, but certain
100%. I
exactly.
agree with
You know
that.
what I'm talking about, right?
100%.
I know, because we've had these conversations.
Well, no, I just like living in these boxes and stuff like that, and not sort of like I'll go for a walk like with bare feet, and people, yeah, I won't like kind of make it obvious. Like I'll take my shoes off and go for a walk, like sort of on grass and stuff like that, and I'll make an effort to reach out to nature and stuff like that, and just walking with no shoes on, I can see people thinking I'm weird and stuff like that.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, we are living in an age where we've created all these things to make our lives easier, or supposedly, right? But it goes against what our biological makeup is supposed to be doing, which we are foragers and we're part of the animal kingdom. You know what I mean? And this, that, and the other. So it's interesting when tie back to what we're talking about. You know, it's almost like nature versus nurture in terms of, you know, like what we were saying about that little girl. You know what I mean? Who saw the kid with Down syndrome and what you're saying. I do think that there's certain parts of us being human in our DNA that are natural in the sense of how we react to certain things, like you said. You know what I mean? But I also think that, you know, we are also evolved, right? And there's, you know, the mind is a very strong, it's a powerful thing, you know? So our, you know, perhaps our society, the way we're conditioned, you know, has turned us away from what our biological nature is supposed to be doing, you know? But at the end of the day, that's where we're at right now. And it's almost like we're stuck. It's not like we can ever go back to foraging. You know what I mean?
No, it is what it is. It's kind of like, it's almost like our personal human, as a race evolution, is sort of like done this, but this technology thing has come along and it's changed everything so much, but we don't have time to evolve in the correct way in line with the correct way in line with technology. So that's far greater evolution of technology, which is we're out of sync, basically, I believe.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting actually. So I just got past this part that was talking about the agricultural revolution, right? And this is basically where money, or the concept of owning stuff, comes from. Was the agricultural revolution.
What, before that we were bartering, right?
Before that, there was no ownership of anything.
Right, but like before that, I'd have maybe I had some fish.
Sure.
And I'd swap my fish for your
maybe you could do
carrots
that,
or
right?
whatever.
Exactly. But when it came to the agricultural revolution was the big turning point for humans, because before that we were all like foragers, right? And we
were nomadic, so there was no like, oh, I own this. This is my land.
Exactly. And then and everything was all about food back then. Like, you know, that's all we cared about as humans, right? We need to eat.
Yeah.
So when we came up to the you know, there was a cognitive revolution, which created was the first step. So us as humans became more cognitive and started realizing things and became smarter, just in general. And then came the agricultural revolution, which then we started realizing that, like, hey, we can grow wheat, or hey, we can grow corn, maize, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And then because of that, then people started owning things. This is my wheat. This is my corn. This is my apples. You know what I mean? And that's where the concept of ownership actually came from.
I'm like that at the dinner table.
I know you are.
That's mine.
Don't touch that. But yeah, so it's very interesting because, you know, that was one of the things that I've always thought about growing up. Like, who thought about money? You know what I mean? Like, you know, this question. Well, you know, you ponder these questions, right? And reading *Sapiens*, or listening to *Sapiens* rather, I'm now starting to understand where that concept has come from, and it came from ownership of food and agriculture, right? And that's where this whole elitism started coming, because then people started having more food, and they felt like, I have all this, you don't have all that. And as millennia started, you know, going by, this whole concept started evolving. Now where we're at today, where there's the 1% that own everything and everybody else, is normal. You know what I mean? So it's crazy when you see the evolution of society in a way, and how it all started from the ownership. So what I find very interesting about this part is, and the author of the book actually says that perhaps we were actually happier back then as foragers.
Oh, I reckon for sure.
You know what I mean? Our lives, because they were saying, like, as a forager, especially back then when the world was supple with food. You know what I mean? There was just so much food. Nobody really cared about like ownership and all that stuff. Everybody was sharing. There was an abundance of food. You would forage for like a few hours.
But possessions now is like a major part of anxiety for people. Exactly. It's like you can buy like a pair of like rubber flip flops and that's your shoes.
Exactly.
Like they cover my feet, but like someone else has got a Gucci loafer and someone wants that or whatever it is. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah, and it comes from wheat and corn.
Right.
It's crazy.
But when you were foraging, the thing that made you happy was like, oh, wicked, a blueberry.
Yeah, and you just eat it.
Yeah.
Right? And but the thing was, that what he's saying is we were a lot happier back then, because all you had to do was, all you cared about was, let me get food for me and my kids or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Eat it, right? And then hang out for the rest of the day. Because you didn't have any...
I'd love that.
Yeah.
And then if you make the decision back then, it's like, do you know what? I'm not even going to have kids.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. Right? Why not?
You just worry about yourself.
Now there's all this pressure to have kids. Or now there's all this pressure to own property. And you know what I mean, right? So
I'd much rather a more simple life like that.
Well,
easily.
I mean, we can never go back. That's the point.
Well,
that the author
you
also
could.
makes. No, we can't. How are we going to go back? You can't go back to foraging.
I mean, you could just go off the reservation.
Oh, yeah.
You could sell.
Be like Leonardo DiCaprio on the beach. Like...
Yeah. Like you could sell all your possessions today, and you could just go somewhere where like you'd have to manage your money a little bit, right? But you could buy some land that's sort of sustains itself, like it's got some fresh water. You can grow a bit of stuff. You can like go fishing. Maybe it's near the ocean, and
I mean, look,
you could,
and the idea
it'd be a big call.
The idea of it sounds awesome, right? But like, I mean, let's be real here, right? Like, there's no way I could do that.
You couldn't.
You could. I know you.
Maybe I could.
You probably could.
Maybe I could.
You know, me, I want my Netflix. I want my, you know what I mean? Like, I like, I'm conditioned. I'll call it what it is. I'm a conditioned human being. You know what I mean? And this is where I'm at.
I think I could survive, but I think, there's going to be times where it's like, I don't know, day 2,374.
Yeah.
Dried fish.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, God damn it.
Tomorrow I've got to... Nothing.
Yep. Like,
so it might become shit.
It does.
I think you'd need like a community and a tribe,
exactly.
Right? Because that's how like, I think human mind needs to be occupied, right? So even if there's not that much to do, but there's something to do, it's like, shit, got to make some new baskets. Okay, we need to get some more reeds and dry that out, and then we're gonna weave some baskets, or we're gonna try catch a fish, or.
I think, and David, correct me if I'm wrong here, because you're listening to Sapiens and I read it a long time ago, but I'm sure they mentioned this bit where they kind of touch on the point that basically society and communities run best at about 100 to 150 people.
Yes.
And I think that's really crucial, because I think there's two massive things which have happened in society, over time, which is technology has kind of put us all in a little box, and we're all competing with each other. And the fabric of societies in cities, it's too many people, but yet they're all divided. There's this kind of twisted irony going on, right? So it's kind of, to David's point, I don't think we can go back, and to my point, I think we're fucked.
Yep. Yeah, we are.
I've always thought that
we're totally fucked.
For us to move forward, we actually do have to go back. Like to progress, we need to go backwards.
This is I think it's also a cycle that we're meeting our inevitable doom.
Do you reckon?
100%. I mean, like, we're all meeting our inevitable doom, right? Every breath we take is the inevitable doom, right? One step closer.
Exactly.
But my point is, as a society, we are meeting our inevitable doom, right? And you know, even in what I find crazy about Sapiens is that there's so much, and I love like, you know, I love reading about like archaeological findings and, you know, all these like cool, you know, trivia facts. That kind of stuff.
Human archaeological findings,
Yes.
and not like dinosaur bones.
Well, that too sometimes is cool, you know. Like if I follow a whole bunch of Instagram and Facebook like fun fact things that are like cool things about that.
Right.
My point is that yeah, like fuck, I forgot what I was talking about. Actually,
We were talking about like society's kind of fucked.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we are meeting our inevitable doom, and what's crazy about Sapiens is that it kind of shows you that, you know, like the global warming and ice ages and all, like we've been through so many of them. You know, like there was global warming back in the day where there was no pollution.
Yeah.
There was still global warming. You know what I mean? We speed it up.
It's the
because
cycles
pollution.
of the planet.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So the one of my point is it's as a society we're fucked anyways. Do you know what I mean? Like we're speeding up getting fucked because of pollution and all that kind of stuff, and speeding up global warming. But it's inevitable. Global warming was going to come anyways. An ice age is going to come anyways. Do you know what I mean? So Sapiens kind of just makes it clear that it's a cycle. You know, this is the science, this is the fact of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I find quite interesting is that like to, you know, to the point, it's we're all fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, there's boom and bust in everything.
I also think like the whole issue, because everything's cyclic, right? But it's kind of like mankind is so arrogant due to how we've come to be the apex predators, basically. And so with that, they kind of we see ourselves as the Copernicus of our own environment, right? So it's kind of like...
I have a question. What's Copernicus? I thought he was a scientist.
Yeah, he was a mathematician, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
He put the sun at the center.
He?
Sorry, he put was it the sun?
No, that sound like Jesus or God.
Yeah, he put the sun at the center instead of the earth, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So we kind of see ourselves. Sun gives life.
Ah,
right?
yes.
We see ourselves like that.
I
So
know
it's
what you
kinda like- yeah, so it's kind of. I just think this arrogant standpoint that we have is just also what's so wrong, man, with how we're kind of existing and.
So when quite some time ago, I went to Africa and drove around South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, in a I don't know, in Australia they call it a ute. You guys call it a pickup probably, and it had like a canopy on the back.
Oh, okay,
sort of
like
thing.
a pickup truck essentially.
Yeah. And there they call it a bucky.
A bucket.
And it was a crazy time. It was when Mr. Mugabe was just starting to kick off.
Okay.
So we couldn't go up there, and it was threatening to spill over into South Africa. And it was at times you had to be careful. But we got to go see some amazing things, and we're in great game reserves a lot. And there was we were in the Kruger, which is from memory, it's like as big as Wales or something like that. The country. And the animals run free, and we sort of knew people that were working there, so we stayed in the staff quarters where it's completely open. So you open the door to go out, you need to check what's out there. Like one day a hyena went through the backyard. You know, there's hippopotamus, which kill loads of the most people, actually, hippos, just across the road. The week before we got there, a gardener got attacked by a lion at 3 o'clock in the day.
Damn.
Yeah, like and I think he just kind of surprised it and ran off.
Wow.
But you had to be careful.
Yeah.
So there's one dude, his name was Glyn, and his job was to go on game walks, and he went with this really old dude, Salius. So Salius was they were both San, which is the original people of South Africa.
Okay.
Those more lighter skin.
Okay.
That have you seen The Gods Must Be Crazy?
No.
Like Bushmen that they walk along and track the animals, and they sort of, you know, they talk like.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's that original ethnicity of people from the Southern Africa. So anyone who has a darker complexion has come from the Central Africa to be in South Africa, and so he was only allowed to take 8 people. So and they'd do it like he'd leave at like 5 in the morning, or sort of like maybe 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And if he had a spare spot, he'd just bring you. Like, so you'd be asleep and you hear bang, 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 and you'd be you go, come on, I got a spot, and then you just go, and then you're in this truck with like a whole lot of people you don't know, and you drive 40 minutes into the bush or jungle, and then you get out, and then you walk for 4 hours. And Salius was the tracker, like 60-year-old sort of dude, like, and he it's like he's reading the ground. And
Wow.
Salius had a gun, Glyn had a gun, and they brief you, right? Like, if you see a lion,
Run.
we had no. If you run, you die.
Really? Okay.
And we all die.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, like, for the lion they cannot help if something runs, they have to chase. Like,
It's
that's
like an
in their
instinct.
DNA,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So if we see a lion, we need to stand together. We need to clap and shout and make ourselves look big and stay together, and you'll be fine. You know.
Really?
Yeah. Like, someone else told me they were in a group with him, and a lion charged, and it was within 10 meters, and he still didn't have his gun up. He was still clapping and doing that 10 meters, and
Wow.
and it pulled up,
And it stopped.
Yeah, and then just kind of
Jeez,
went off.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you do that with like even like a bear, for example, or is it only lions?
I don't know. Every animal's different, right? So the other animals we were briefed on, he was most worried about single buffalo, because old males get expelled from the herd,
Oh.
and they've just got an issue with the world, and they just charge at anything.
Oh shit.
Elephants, if the elephant charged with its ears out, that's cool.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, because it's going to stop. If the ears is back and the trunk is under,
You know it's coming.
They're
for
not
you.
stopping.
It's a stampede.
yeah. And that you had to run. That was a run. that was a run.
You're not gonna be like, ah.
that was run, take your shirt off, and then run in a different direction, because the
Why do you have to take
the
your shirt
scent,
off?
the scent, and they might
Oh.
trample the scent. A rhino, he wasn't as worried about, but they worried enough though to brief us. And I don't think these things happened often, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But they need to let people know. Rhino was the eyesight is poor. So when it's head down to charge, they can see even less, like, because their eyes are sort of out
yeah,
here,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So they can see even less. So you had to like lie down on the ground and then roll
Really?
out of the way. Yeah. So
It makes sense logically.
yeah, it makes sense.
But like, that's not the first thing I think about. You know what I mean? Fucking rhinos come charging
So,
at me.
but like, it's a like, these are wild animals, right? So like, they have to tell you about this stuff, and there was also this sense of like, as soon as they say like, it was the bit about the lion and any of the cats and don't run. Then that minute I'm looking around at the other people, like thinking, can I trust? Like,
What if somebody just
yeah?
runs
What if someone does
and books it and then
right?
and then you're
and
just
then
there
we're
like, fuck.
yeah, because they said like there's areas on the border with Mozambique where people are trying to cross into Africa
Yeah.
that you can't walk
crazy.
because the lions know how easy it is to kill humans.
Jesus,
It's only
man.
that these lions in these areas that they're not walking know. They
prob-
don't
they're
know
prob-
how
they're probably
easy
used
it
to
is.
it.
Yeah, well, no, they don't know how easy it is to kill humans. They haven't done it.
Yeah, I
so
see,
there's the
okay.
fear.
Yeah, I see. So
Yeah.
that's why you can like make a commotion and then run away.
Yeah.
I see.
So, but the thing that like it was like totally amazing. You know, we saw amazing things, and when you see the lion on foot, like, you understand your place in the universe. You feel like humble, you know what I mean? Like, and you understand that like we're not apex.
Yeah,
we're not
100%.
anything like it.
Yeah. Well, physically not apex, but we're apex,
Right.
man.
Well, but maybe we need to start like letting a few lions go.
To what?
In society, you know what I mean?
What?
And humans need to be brought pegged down a level. Like, imagine like now, right? You,
All right.
like, you tell me you're going to get a haircut
Yeah.
later,
after this,
right?
Yeah.
You got to walk. Say you got to walk 20 minutes to get your haircut.
Yeah. That is a
Now
lot.
you're walking along. Yeah, man, I'm tough. I used to be a bully. I can smash you. I can
I'm not gonna
smash
hear
you.
the end of this, man.
Oh, that dude's a big dude. Actually, no, I won't stare him out. I'm going to look down, right? But imagine there was like lions.
Yeah, I then I have to make commotions while
No, but-
while I'm walking.
No.
Walking to a haircut. Walking to a haircut.
No, but the whole experience of just going from A to B is different, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Like, and your mind is more in a survival mode, and you're not like, like there's a pecking order.
There is a pecking order. I agree.
Maybe we need to do that. Let some big cats out.
I don't know, man. I don't know how much I appreciate freaking lions out in society, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, because sometimes like,
humans need a reality check.
Yeah, back to what Kyle was saying, we're fucking arrogant.
Yeah.
Right? And but look, man, we're the apex because of what we got up here. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it is. Our intelligence is what makes us the apex, and why Homo sapiens made everyone else Homo erectus and Neanderthals, which were also other species of human beings, essentially, right? We eradicated all of them. Do you know what I mean? Because fuck, man, we're apex.
But when you say we're of our intelligence, like it's the intelligence, how we judge intelligence. Some other species would be highly intelligent as well, right? But maybe we don't.
Species as in like animals, or
yeah.
I mean they're intelligent in their own ways and in their own kingdom.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But again, it's our cognitive ability to be able to do things, and
or our ability to have changed the earth.
Yes, actually, back
to our advantage.
Back to Sapiens, because I don't know how much I'm gonna harp on this topic, but
no, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like I've heard about this book before.
Yeah, you should totally read it. But one of the things they mentioned was our ability to create something fictitious, and to get people to follow it is what really was a huge revolution for us. Because no other animal or mammal, whatever the hell, being can tell you about a religion or a myth and empower people and believe into it so much that you're gonna have millions of people following it. Do you know what I mean? Right? So that ability that we have to be able to imagine and to create with our minds is what's actually a huge X factor. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't. Animals aren't like that. You know what I mean? Animals don't tell each other. Maybe they do, right? But it's not like us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So it's interesting. It's interesting about the different. There's a lot of subconscious, natural things that we don't realize about ourselves that actually create or is the reasons why we're the dominant species on Earth. Do you know what I mean? Like that ability to.
Well, that's creativity, right?
Exactly. It's creativity, but it's also the cognitive ability to think of that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? To be able to think that one religion or whatever else is real, and to be able to, I guess, canvas that idea to people, and people buy into it.
And then use it as a tool of control.
Yes, well, that's now if you look at it in terms of how it's been used, yes, right, and that's the.
But even back then, like when religions first came out, like there was rules to it, right? Like and probably good rules, like love thy neighbor, don't kill thy neighbor, or whatever. It's a form of control. It's good.
I mean, yeah.
Because otherwise, everyone's just killing each other.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's better if everyone does kill each other because there's less population.
Yeah, I mean,
the Earth's not as taxed, and instead of walking down the street to worry about lions, you're just walking down the street to worry about other humans, and that occupies our mind space, and we don't develop crazy computers that can do all these things and
what you mean
affect the Earth.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're wired that way. Do you know what I mean? I just think that we're funny. We're a funny species, man. But
messed up species.
Messed up, highly intelligent, and doomed, basically, in a nutshell.
Yeah, and doing it to ourselves.
Yeah,
or speeding it up ourselves.
Totally it. Yeah, man.
So when you're growing up, Toronto and this type of thing, like, Because we had an American guest on before, Tony, right? Like, and he played in the NFL.
Oh, I remember you told me about this guy.
Yeah, which is kind of cool, and he was sharing about like how that all sort of works. Like, and you're massively into basketball, right?
Yeah. Well, I am. I mean, not as much as I used to be because I can't watch it because of time zones, right? So like I watch replays or anything like that. I mean, like I could watch games, but like I gotta wake up at like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. to watch a game. Like, you know, I'm not that into it anymore. But yeah, I'm a big basketball fan. Also, and your friend who played in NFL, he was a cornerback, if I recall, right?
So the quarterback throws it.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to catch it.
Yeah, and he intercepts.
And Tony tries to...
Cornerback, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, so these guys are the deflectors of the passes, essentially.
Right, and blocking it,
yeah,
sort of thing.
Exactly, right? So NFL was... It's honestly, like, American football is one of the most incredible sports, I think.
But he said you guys have your own version.
We do. It's shit. You know? We have CFL or something.
He
That's
said
how bad
there's
it is. I don't
different
even watch it.
rules and different
It's-
end zone.
I mean,
different
it's
type.
a little bit different. Like, for example, I think there's like American football is like you get 4 downs, whereas I think in Canadian you get 3. I might be quoting wrong here because I've actually never watched the Canadian version because it was so shit, and like, you know, like there was no budget for anything. Like, you know, it's just not great. But yeah, there is a different version. But the American football is just like, you know, basketball and American football are definitely like my favorite sports,
Right.
hands down. But American football, like, have you ever? I think we talked about this once. Have you ever actually? Because we talked about, I think, rugby versus. Because you watched a little bit of rugby, right?
In Australia, everyone just thinks it's soft.
Which
American football. Which is, you got a helmet, you got all the pads. Like, it's clearly not soft.
No.
But at the same time, there's a lot of protection. And also in Australia, people can't understand, and probably UK is the same. It's like...
Stoppages.
Well, it's the stoppages, but also, like, what, you don't play a whole game.
Yeah, so it's the stoppages. Like, I know, I get that. See, same thing with basketball. So basketball and American football, there's a lot of stoppages.
But basketball, you generally play most of the game. There's a core team. It's not like you literally play bit or someone comes on just to kick.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean. But okay, so what I've gathered, you know, having friends that are European and Australian versus, you know, friends that are North American, we talk about sports, right? The stoppages is the thing that people don't understand. You know, it's like, because when you look at rugby, you look at soccer or football, right? It's an ongoing game.
There's a flow.
It's a flow, right? Like, especially rugby, it just doesn't stop. Like, the ball goes here, the ball goes there, you know, it's just nonstop, right?
Everyone just madly chases it.
Right? Whereas in basketball, American football, there's stoppages, which I can understand why the perception is, why do you have that? It makes the game kind of boring and extends it, and, like, you know, I just want to see it flow. But the point is, the stoppages is the point, because when you stop, you can regroup and do something different.
Strategize.
That's what I love about American football, is that every single play is a strategy. It's war.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You've got your play. It's like chess, right? You got your players that do, your cornerback that does this, your quarterback that does this, your halfback that does this. You need to be in this position, do that. You guys have all plays.
Yeah.
You guys study these plays. You know what I mean? And at every stoppage, it's like, this is one battle, next battle, another stoppage, next battle. So you have to appreciate the stoppages in a way that's like, okay, now, like for me, it's like whenever there's a new play that runs or a new snap, I'm anticipating like, oh, what's gonna happen in this one? So that's what makes it exciting, is that every single play, something else could happen.
Or little games within the game.
Sort of, right? Whereas, you know, in... Like, okay, so one thing that I will say about American football, literally anything can happen, dude. You know, like, there's certain sports where, like for example, in soccer, right? If it's 2-0 and there's, like, 10 minutes left, nothing's going to happen. Can. But, like, that person who's got 0 points, it's highly unlikely that they're going to come back. You know what I mean?
They're goals.
Goals, okay. Goals. But you know, man, okay, so I did see an NFL game once. I drove down with my friend to Detroit from Toronto, and we watched the Dallas Cowboys versus the Detroit Lions in Detroit. And,
Oh, that's cool. Local derby.
oh man, it was wicked. Like, I've been to a few sporting events, but this was like, wow.
How many people are going to go to that?
Dude, like the stadium was massive. Like it was
60?
60K?
Okay.
Give or take 60.
Yeah.
I don't know what the capacity is there, but it's huge. And the energy, like, oh man, like there's tailgating. So they have like tailgating parties, which is basically a massive parking lot party before the game and after the game, right?
Oh, as in you pull the tailgate down on your pickup truck and
exactly.
and
That's
drink
what they call it, right?
Okay.
That's where the name comes from. But essentially, people like barbecue and like get ready for the game and start like pounding beers, and like some guys even get so riled up because like they're opposite teams, and there might be little like scraps that happen here and there. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty intense. And then you get into the game, and like, man, the energy was just like, oh, like when you feel like in a casino, like you're just awake, like that's what it was. Like you're just like you just feel energy. Anyways, back to what I was saying is that the Dallas Cowboys were up 2 minutes left, right? And they were up by like what was it? They were up by like 7 points, which is a full touchdown, and you get an extra point, right? And what happening was Matt Stafford, actually, if I'm not mistaken, he'd recently just won the Super Bowl, because he's no longer with Detroit. I think he's with the Rams now. I haven't followed NFL in a while. Point is, he is known for making last-minute miracles happen, essentially.
Okay.
Right? And, man, this was a wicked drive. Like, he, like, from the end zone, he had, like, less than 2 minutes left, and there was a bunch of stoppages, obviously, that happened, right? So that 2 minutes is actually 10 minutes because of the stoppages, right?
Oh, 2 minutes on the clock.
2 minutes on the clock.
Can play out to be 10 minutes.
Like 10 minutes because of stoppages, right?
Right.
But he was so strategic that he ended up, they ended up winning the game, Detroit, right? And, man, you should have seen it, because... So my friend was a Dallas Cowboys fan, so he's there with like the Dallas jersey and everything, and I'm over there like I'm indifferent because I'm not a fan for any of them, but I'm like, you know what? Just because I'm in Detroit, I'm gonna root for Detroit.
Yeah.
Right? There were people who were obviously Detroit fans that were already leaving the building. You know what I mean? Like people were leaving because they were like, we're fucked, we lost, whatever, right? Man, Matt Stafford with this wicked drive just comes through and like wins the game, and there were people that like left that, like, you know what I mean?
It's on the radio on the way home.
Exactly. He was on the radio going home, and like you should have seen like the crowd, because it was a home game, and like they just beat the Cowboys, and like my friend wearing the jersey, like he was like, "Hey, we got it." And after that, he was like scared that he's gonna get his ass kicked or something. But yeah, man, like literally anything can happen.
That can happen in football as well.
Can it?
In soccer, yeah.
See, I'm not a big fan.
I think any game.
I feel like it's funny because speaking again to Australian and European friends, they're like, oh, I find American football and basketball boring. I find soccer.
I don't find them boring.
Oh.
I don't find them boring. Like, I think basketball is exciting.
Oh, yeah,
like, I think
absolutely.
the skill level's insane and amazing. I think NFL, I understand it less, but I don't think it's boring at all.
Yeah.
No, like, I think just like growing up in Australia, like, excuse me, people just thought it was a bit soft. Yeah. Like, why they got to wear those big pads and
I know what you mean. No, but you know why is because the reason why, if they didn't wear big pads the same way that rugby players
they'd be dead.
They'd be dead.
Yeah.
Because what they're like, they're like getting ready, and then the snap comes, you just come rushing in, right? It's not like with...
Would better use their head as a weapon as well, right?
And that's actually illegal. Like, there's been a few like people that have concussions and like have literally like died off that. You know what I mean, on the football field.
Right.
So yeah, but it's insane.
Let me show you. Can you Google this? I think you put it on Google. So there's a sport AFL in Australia, right? Which is also called like Aussie rules. It's Australian football, and
like Australian American football.
No, it's like this weird game.
Oh, I think I've seen this.
They jump on each other's shoulders and catch the ball, and it's pretty crazy. But when someone scores, I think it's 1,000 goals in their career, the crowd just runs on the pitch.
That's it?
Like, it happened recently. So Google Buddy Franklin. 1,000 goals.
And the crowd just like ruined the game?
The game stops. So like, it rarely happens.
The game just stops?
Yeah.
So they just write it off and they have to redo the game another time?
So there's one here, Kyle, I don't know if you see, it's 2 minutes and 9 seconds. I'm going to get an ad. But I mean, I don't think this would happen in many other sports. I'll fast forward it. But you can see them all running on the pitch, right?
So because... Doesn't that ruin the game, though? Like...
Well, it rarely happens. Look! That's in the game!
Turning the green turf into a sea of red and white. His accuracy was never
Wow.
Mental, huh?
That's insane. Wow, it looks like ants.
Surrounded the Swans champion, savouring a moment in Australian sporting history.
Like, I think, like, people have scored 1,000 goals. Like, the last one was, like, 20 years ago or something. Like, career goals.
Wow.
But it's kind of cool that, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That it's kind of, like, old worldy or something. That
everybody just, like, snaps and there's like,
it just
let's
goes,
go, yeah,
we're
go
running
crazy.
on.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's kind of
That's
cool,
crazy,
though.
man.
It's mental.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, sports really brings people together.
I think
You know
so.
what I mean?
It can
Like,
divide them.
It can divide people.
It can divide them as
Absolutely
well.
Sure. But there's always, like, you know, growing up, I wish that I actually did more sports. You know what I mean? Like,
What'd you do?
I play a little bit about basketball. I was never really any good. You know what I mean? But played a little bit of ball here. That's about it. Like, you know, I play volleyball, like for school and things like that. And we got pretty far, like in like the competition, provincial competition or whatever the hell it was. But yeah, like I wish I did more because there's this certain sense of camaraderie that you've got.
is.
You know what I mean? With your friends and your teammates, and you know, there's a bond that you get. And I feel like growing up, because I was not into that growing up, right? I kind of look back and I was like, fuck, I wish I was a bit more.
Like, you missed out on that?
Yeah, you know, like you know, in retrospect with anything, there's certain things you look back on, you're like, fuck, I wish I did a bit more of this, I wish I did a little bit less of that, you know, whatever. And sports and getting into that type of, like, you know, sportsmanship or whatever you want to call it. You know, I do regret that a little bit. I wish I did that. So when we, you know, planning to have kids with my wife soon, you know, one of the things I want to do with my kid is try to encourage that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because I think it brings some really cool values about, like, growing up and learning how to trust one person to do something, and and knowing that person also trusts you to do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To share a common goal.
I think team sports is really good for people, and some solo sports as well, right?
Yeah,
like, cause like you said before, like, it's like war. Like, I think sports sort of came about because to just give people something to do so they don't go to war in a way, right? Like, but yeah, there's that camaraderie of a team sport, and then there's also something in solo sports where, like, you know, you can't go over to your mate, right? Like, say you're playing basketball or whatever, and you're just going against someone that's so good, you can't walk over and go, man, this guy's like killing me today or whatever, or like can you help me out a bit, there's none of that. It's like, I say, like tennis.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You're the only one there, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you have a problem that person's doing better than you, and you need to overcome it, or or not.
Yeah, or
do you know
lose.
what I mean? Yeah.
I see what you mean, because
Yeah.
it's almost like a sense of resilience-ness or toughness, mental toughness.
It build
physical
that,
toughness.
it build it or break people
Yeah.
down. Like you know, Naomi Osaka, right? She's like seems to be struggling. Well, not seems to be. She's struggling mentally,
who's
right?
this?
Naomi Osaka.
Oh,
the
yeah,
tennis
the tennis player.
Yeah, she's struggling mentally, right? Like, it's sort of playing out in quite a public way. She took time off for mental health, and then people were kind of like, some people saying, oh, you know, that's good, and other people like, oh, she needs to toughen up, and and
People need to shut up sometimes. But
yeah. I mean, also, like, I don't know, she's got enough. Probably, right? Like, doesn't matter if she never picks up another tennis racket again. So just like, if someone wants to be happier, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely not. And I think that there's a lot of people that are in that position where, you know, they can kind of just quit and be good, but they don't. You know what I mean? Because they love what they do, I guess.
Yeah, everyone's driven by different things,
Yeah.
right? Like some people is driven by like success. They want that success or their legacy. Other people just so competitive. It's just they just need to win the next thing that's in front of them.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I think it's respectable actually for people to not be so driven sometimes. Like, if that makes sense. Like, okay, so, you know, don't get me wrong, you got to respect the drive for some people, right? But like, for example, Tom Holland, right? The actor who plays Spider-Man,
Okay.
right? He's like what, 24, 25? You know, first of all, I didn't realize that he was a child actor. Like, I watched a movie the other day. I was, hey, that's fucking Tom Holland. You know what I mean? He's like a little kid there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anyways, point is, he said like after like making all these Spider-Man films and he grossed $1 billion or whatever, he's like, I'm gonna take a break from acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I'm dating Zendaya, whatever, and like, you know, I'm in love with her, and we want to have a family, and I'm just gonna quit.
Enjoy life for a bit.
Quit for a few years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, some people that'd be like, that's despicable. You know, you should you're in your peak right now. You should be doing. But you look at it the other way. It's like that takes a lot of guts to just be like, fuck it, I want to be happy. You know what I mean?
Smart to me.
Yeah, it's smart. But being a celebrity and having all that like you know, the microscope on you, and everybody's like, you know, what's the next big thing that Tom Holland's gonna come out with? And you're just like, no, fuck it. Like, you know, I'm happy. I made a lot of money. And
I think it'd be horrible to have that spotlight constantly on you.
Absolutely. That's why, like, you know, fame is like you know, like awful.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know a few influencers, and it's funny because, like, you know, you go to Thailand, right? We were in Thailand in Koh Samui, and there was a couple there who was obviously like a food blogging couple because they were like eating while filming themselves eat at like this restaurant, right? And I'm like, fuck, like, do I have? If I was an influencer, like, I have to do that all the time, like every single meal. I have to talk. Ooh, now I'm eating like this pasta. It's like, can't I just like be normal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and like, just,
but that's a whole different thing
crazy,
of
man.
like fame, I guess, in a way.
You
It
know,
must be
like,
intrusive on your life in any way.
exactly. You know, so like, is it worth it? Some people they hate it, some people they love it. That's why a lot of people who go into acting, they bail. And like, there's a few. I think it was Cameron Diaz now. She doesn't act anymore. She has like a normal job.
Oh, really?
I think so.
She has.
Something like that.
She.
Yeah, or like Jessica Alba as well. She runs her own business or some shit like that. And she's like, I'm not. Why do I need to act anymore?
I used to know, like from training, like Guy Ritchie, and so he was kind of obviously like famous from the movies and you know,
Great films.
yeah, that's a good ones. He would and this was around the time of that he was sort of going through the separation, I guess. So this would be 2004 to 2009 sort of period. And towards the end of that period, you know, like he bought a pub called the Punch Bowl, and some of us would sort of go down there and have a beer or whatever. But people would waiting out front for him of his pub. Like, he's just like, it's like literally like the three of us just okay, we'll just go down a bar, have a drink. Like, you would let him go first. You would never leave at the same time. But it's literally and it's not people going, can I have your autograph? It's the paparazzi.
Yeah, exactly.
Like and you see the flash. They're not flash bulbs anymore, but the flash is going off. Whatever. It's just like.
Yeah, you could totally like you
man.
could see some of these celebrities actually like you know, the way they like, there's some celebrities who are notorious apparently for being rude to paparazzi. You know what I mean? But they probably weren't always like that. You know what I mean? It just got to a point.
Oh, to wind you up.
Yeah, eventually it gets to a point where it's like, dude, like, I need to live. You know what I mean? Stop filming everything.
But it's also the way to go about it, right? There was another guy that was there at that academy, and his wife was her name was Denise Lewis. Okay. So she was I think a heptathlete. I might be getting all this wrong. But
heptathlete? What's that?
Is it 6 events?
Oh, the like triathlon by heptathlon?
No, Olympic.
Yeah,
it's an Olympic sport. Like decathlon's 10.
I see. Yeah. So what's a hep? That's like 7?
Is it 7?
I thought it was 7, yeah.
7, right?
Okay,
Hep is 7, right? Or sept? Okay.
hepatitis. It's not that. Heptathlete.
Yeah, 7 events.
7 events. Okay.
It's crazy.
Like, you know, and there's, from memory, there's like a couple of distance of running. There's a long jump and a triple jump probably. There might be a javelin or something in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, she won it in the Sydney Olympics and a gold medal. And then after that, you get to do different things. And she was on that Dancing with the Stars type of program. Mm-hmm. And you know, like the press like to make rumors and always in those Dancing with the Stars program, they make rumors that like, the celebrity's getting on very well with the instructor.
Oh, like it could be something there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
right. So like the press was sort of making these types of stories, and Denise is black, and Steve is a white guy, right? He come out of his place, and Steve used to be a boxer. Okay. Right, and that sort of bit was in the press as well. So he come out of his place, and there's a guy just walking up to him, going like, saying the fucking horrible things, like you this type of lover and this and that.
Wow.
And just trying to get him to react.
Yeah.
And like he's sent there by the paparazzi, and he'd see like people look like in cars, like with the finger on the thing on the camera, ready to go.
Wow.
That's horrible.
It sucks.
And he's not even in the public eye.
Yeah. That's why, man, fame, like, it's funny because, so I've heard that kids these days, right, growing up, you know, when you ask, what do you want to be? Everybody says YouTuber now.
Right.
Like, all the kids want to be a YouTuber. They want to be the next Paul Logan, whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean? And, yeah, like, I don't think it's as much, like, there's it's put on a pedestal and like it's glorified so much that everybody wants to be it without actually realizing what it means. Do you know what I mean? And like, I don't think everybody has the capacity to handle things like Jake Paul is and Logan Paul, whatever the names are doing. And like kids these days, like they idolize these guys. Like, wow,
they're the new movie stars.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
Being on YouTube is movie stars. That's why when you there's so much content now. You know, like it's funny in hindsight. I wish I when I was growing up, and you know, because I was in the age of, you know, when internet first came out and YouTube first came out, I was like, fuck, I should have done pranks. You know what I mean? Like I would have been pretty good at that. You know what I mean? I'd be freaking rich right now if I like just on pranks and shit like that. You know. But now you can't do it. Now you can't get famous for doing pranks because that's been already done. Now you have to do something else. You know. Now it's everything, dude. It's like, oh my god, I saw this. It's like the cooking ones, you know, like there's this one video of a little Chinese girl in mainland China wearing like a little schoolgirl outfit, right? And she's cooking a fucking crocodile, dude. Like she literally cooks this crocodile in this little schoolgirl outfit uniform, right?
Why does she have to be in a schoolgirl uniform?
I don't know why she has to do
That's
that.
weird.
And she's got this like little annoying voice, like, you know, and just like cooking it, and she's so enthusiastic about it, right? But like, it's insane that like it's a massive crocodile and it's like killed, like it's a dead crocodile. Like,
how big is it?
This big, you know.
As long as the table.
She's got help like from a bunch of people, like, you know, doing it, right? But she's doing most of it in the video. She's descaling it, you know. She's barbecuing it. She's like, you know,
skinning it,
man, skinning like everything, like, and cooks it and eats it, and that's content now.
Yeah,
you know. So nowadays, you have to like really sit down and think and be like, man, how can I get famous? How can I be a YouTuber? You know, we're back in the day again, man. I could have just, man, all these like Vitaly. I don't know if you follow Vitaly, he's like one of the pioneer pranksters, right? This Russian guy.
Right.
It's hilarious. Some of his pranks were so funny. But yeah, like I could have done that. How come I didn't think about that? You know what I mean?
Like this will go out on YouTube, right? Like I mean, you kind of would hope that people would want to watch it, I guess.
Yeah, I
but
hope
like,
so.
but I don't want to like, yeah, to be famous or anything.
Exactly.
Like, but then here we are, like talking about it on film, and that it's going to be on YouTube. So like
ironic.
Yeah, like, but also I think like, I don't know, like things have changed and cameras are so easy and cheap, and to people to document things on them is such like a normal thing these days, right? Yeah.
And everything's recorded these days.
Yeah.
So I love reading comments. I don't know about you, but like I don't know why I waste my time like on Facebook. Somebody, ooh, that's a juicy comment, and it's got like 20 replies. I'm like, oh, let's see.
Sometimes I look at that.
Let's see what everybody's talking about.
I just read them just to see how fucking stupid they are.
Exactly. It's just like, wow. It's like, oh no, he didn't. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
do you know what? I was just scrolling through Instagram, and there's this girl, and she's like kicking and punching a bag, and you know she's like wearing like active wear, right?
Okay.
Like she's
Yoga
not wearing
pants or something like that.
Yeah, she's not like wearing like tie shorts and like, you know, she doesn't have scars on her face. Like she looks like she's been doing it for fitness.
I see. Okay.
She's not like a fighter, right?
Yeah, okay,
like,
yeah.
but she can do it pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, and she's just doing it. Like, and you know, people film themselves doing these things these days. She knew that. The first comment, right? This dude goes like, something like, "Oh, yeah, you need to keep your right hand up more. You need to do this, this, and that, and this and that. Overall, yeah, not too bad, but you need more practice." It's like,
shut up.
Okay,
Nobody asked you.
dickhead. And then like I was like, who is this dick? And then like I kind of like click on his thing. He's an organic farmer. Just shut up.
Just shut up.
Tell me about a fucking eggplant or something.
I totally get it.
Leave the girl alone.
I totally get it. But to be devil's advocate, at the end of the day, you put it out there. If you're putting it out there, you're gonna get comments.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be loads of comments on this. Oh, Paul's a dickhead. David's a bully. David can't act. David.
An actor? Yeah, right. Stick to stage crew, dude. But yeah, it's crazy, you know.
No, but people are like they're
dicks.
the things that people. Okay, say that organic farmer was at the gym.
Yeah.
And he saw that girl doing a thing, and then they got in the lift together.
Yeah.
To leave the gym. Like, he's not going to go, hey, you need to keep your right hand up more, and like...
What he'll do is
she's just going to turn around and go whoosh, and kick him in the head.
He'll be in the lift with her right there, making the comment to her instead of telling her straight to her face.
People are quite brave.
Yeah, it's what do you call them?
Keyboard warriors.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like, you wouldn't be saying that shit in person.
But,
shut the hell up.
But it's...
it is. Something out of my face.
Yeah. But it's so weird that, like, and it's like, it's a new thing, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, this didn't exist, I don't know, what, 30 years ago, that's for sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
Everybody has an opinion now.
Yeah.
And everybody feels entitled to their opinion now.
Well, maybe everyone had opinion before, but they've got a platform to voice it on very publicly and also very anonymously.
Yeah. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, everybody is allowed to have an opinion. Do you know what I mean? So it's, you know, freedom of speech or whatever the hell it is, right? But also sometimes it's just like, you know, if your opinion is literally just to, like, you know, make somebody feel like shit, like, why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, that one guy there who was trying to tell her, maybe he really genuinely thought that, like, I hope she can take this advice and make her, you know, feel...
he was just trying to fucking make a comment that all his friends sees, like, and he goes to cardio kickboxing or some shit, or maybe he goes to train, maybe he's like good, but it's like...
Like... He's an organic farmer by day, and by night he's a vigilante that...
you don't have to critique her like that.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's shit, man.
But I also think, right, like, prior to the digital age where anyone could comment on anything, right, you had to have a mano debate / argument / different opinion, right?
Yeah.
That forces one of two outcomes. You go away and think about a different opinion, or you have a fight.
Yeah.
So it's, do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, that whole thing is very, very different.
Yeah,
and now we've taken away this element of danger.
Yeah. And now it's like, let me just talk whatever the fuck I want.
Exactly.
And not have to worry about the fight.
And not consider your words and what you have to say, because there could be an outcome that you might not want to get involved. You could be speaking to David. He's going to bully you if you don't say the right thing. so, you know what I mean? It's something to think about.
You better watch your mouth, Kyle.
I wanted to start replying to this dude like, you're such a dickhead. Why do you even? And then I was like, no, man. Like, what do you do? And I've never ever done anything like that. But that guy in particular, like, I wanted to.
I know there's certain times where like I could almost catch myself like replying to something, and I'm just like, don't even go down to that level. You know?
Then it's sort of then it starts to become like possibly entertaining. Because how much can you wind someone up, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's also why some of these keyboard warriors do it. Like they literally just do it just for kicks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny, but like everything, like look, if you put anything up there in the digital world, your digital whatever, you're gonna get flack, right? Regardless of what it is.
Paul's OnlyFans account is shit.
OnlyFans account. Have you heard about the Singaporean guy who might have to because OnlyFans is illegal here, right? Like illegal,
right?
Like you can't you can't have an only. It's like indecency or something like that, right?
Oh, because you're a pornographer in a way, right? Like a Larry Fritz.
So there's a dude, like a young Singaporean guy. I think he's like 22 or something. I saw an article on Facebook the other day. And
sure you did.
Yeah, I subscribe. But in any case, the article was saying that like he's gonna have to leave the country if he wants to continue his career.
So he's not gonna get incarcerated. He's just being asked to stop.
Asked to stop or leave.
Wow.
Basically, right? But my point is that like whatever you put up on there, do you know what I mean? Like. It's up there for life, obviously, and you're gonna get criticized. You're gonna get like condemned or whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
The one I think that's, I mean, they're all pretty annoying and not. Look, they have a purpose. I understand it. The one that I think is most annoying is LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What do you mean? The posts on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Dude, oh my god.
Like, there's so much stuff. Like, I think LinkedIn is good to put your professional profile up, kind of like almost like an online CV service. Okay, if something's good, share it. If you did something good and you feel like that, then share it or whatever. But like the level that it's got now, like,
God, it's so
many
bad.
people are typing these things about like, I don't know, just.
Totally
Do you know what? It's shit that in real life no one cares about.
Yeah.
But then all these people reply and go, "Oh, excellent work, David.
Yeah.
I love the way that you such and such and such, and this is so innovative."
Yeah, it's just so that they can boost themselves. I totally get it, man. I'm on LinkedIn every day, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And I see this stuff, and it's hilarious because I would see like let's say there's this guy who runs a recruitment company, right? And he made a post about.
What's his name, David?
I'm not gonna say anything. The guy who runs a recruitment company. He made this post about salaries or something like that, right? And it just opened up a massive can of worms.
Oh, everyone got on it.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because I think it was like, if you don't want to reveal your salaries to me as a recruiter, like, he was basically saying, reveal your salaries, so then that way we could work together. That was his whole message, right? But man, like. That's the worst thing to put up on there because you're gonna get hit by all these people that are like, you should pay me for what I am, not like for my skills, which I agree with. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have to be based off what your previous salaries, etc. Right? Anyways, he made this post, and it had like 400 comments, and I was like, let me see what's going on here, right? Because I know it was gonna be controversial. So I was reading them, and you could tell.
So hang on, you're listening to your novel.
Yeah, listening to Sapiens.
Your boss is cool with that.
Yeah,
and you're just looking at a LinkedIn comment wall.
And I'm looking at it on LinkedIn and just reading it, and you can just see that he's responding to the first few ones of like him
trying to defend it a bit,
himself. And then it gets to a point where he's just like, you can totally tell he regrets making this post because he's just like, this post was a week ago, guys. Like, you know what I mean?
really?
Like, why are we still talking about this? You know what I mean? And it's just like, well, you put the fucking thing up there. You know, like, you're the one that started the whole thing.
Well, you could delete the post.
Yeah, well, of course you can, right? But like, that's not gonna look good either, right? Because you know, with LinkedIn, see, that's the thing about LinkedIn, and you're right. It's becoming weird. It's almost becoming like this weird mutated Facebook.
That's what I reckon.
You know what I mean? And it's like, ooh, look at me glorifying that I'm a C-suite or this, that, and the other.
But just with a little bit more rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? But at the same time, it's all about like self-glorification.
It is.
It's all self-glorification on LinkedIn.
It's like look what I did.
Yeah.
It's like coming home and going like, can we put this on the fridge?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like a painting that you did when you were 3, and it looks just like a pile of shitty colors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or like somebody who try to post something like, you know, and heartfelt or like, you know, driving sustainability and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, it's written very scripted, very like intelligently, and it's like you can tell this person put 3 hours into this post.
Yeah, and
You know what I
meanwhile,
mean?
like drove home in a diesel Range Rover and like with whaleskin hubcaps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and it's literally just self-glorification, and it's actually quite sad because LinkedIn is, you know, it's supposed to be professional, right? It's supposed to be like resumes.
I think that's the bit that annoys me, the self-glorification. Like, because Facebook and Instagram is that to a certain extent, depending on the nature of someone's thing, or it could just be like someone like, hey, that's a cool picture.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn, all of it is like,
self-glorification.
hey, look what I did, or look what someone else did.
And the worst part is everybody feeds into each other because they want to make a comment, so then they get noticed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like you said, like, oh, fantastic job on this. I think this was awesome. And it's like, you're only commenting, so then that way, you know, hopefully you're hopeful that somebody else who's, I don't know, a big shot reads your comment and it's like, wow, that guy's quite profound. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally that, and it
feels faker than Facebook,
dude,
which is saying something.
And the worst part is these are all professionals, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Facebook is one thing because you've got a bunch of degenerates that are making comments about stuff.
And someone goes, oh, you're a dickhead.
Yeah,
you
whatever,
can't be like on LinkedIn. I'll go on LinkedIn now.
Yeah.
This is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And I reckon this, and this. And by the way, you suck.
Yeah. You can't do that on
I'll
LinkedIn.
never get a job again.
Yeah, of course. But the worst thing
Paul's
is...
irrational. Paul has like...
Yeah,
you know,
exactly right.
Paul uses the word you suck.
I always thought of just throwing up like a picture of a ball bag or something and then just going, oh, sorry, my account got hacked. And just see what comes back from it.
A ball bag. Can you open up Facebook or LinkedIn, just the testicles?
Can you imagine seeing something like that on LinkedIn?
I'd love to see that on LinkedIn.
And then you just say, oh, my thing got hacked. I'm so sorry if I offended anyone. You know, blah, 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 blah.
Or no, you're like, oh, sorry, meant for OF. For OnlyFans.
Oh yeah. Oops, wrong link. Sorry.
Catch you guys at the next conference.
My friends and I were. So you know how in Singapore we have this Trace Together app thing. Right?
Yeah.
So the Trace Together app, and you have to like, you know, scan it and show it to the guy.
I think most countries have got something.
So we were saying like, what if like, you know, one day as opposed to that, I just show him a pair of tits. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine like the guy, like he's bored, right? He's just say green tits. You know what I mean? Like the guy would be like, huh?
Come on in.
You know what I mean?
He'd be like, are they yours?
Yeah, I'll probably end up getting arrested for that. No, you know, here. But
yeah, actually, you would get arrested
but
for that. Yeah.
It would be hilarious. You know what I mean? Because like
you'd brighten up his day.
Absolutely. You know, especially with like an old uncle or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's hilarious. Actually, there was a few times where like, I think there was one time we were in Thailand and there was this old uncle taxi driver, right? And Grace and I got into the cab, and dude, he was watching porn on like his like screen, and like you could literally like while we're driving, there's porn.
Oh, not before you got in. You noticed it.
Like literally, like it's porn that's playing.
What type of porn?
I don't know. Like I wasn't.
No, was it like? I mean, there's different levels, right?
It was
like
bestiality. I don't know.
Well, okay. Well,
I'm
that's okay. But if it was something, nah.
That's okay. No, but really, like it's yeah.
Why? And he just left it on.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's hilarious. Like, that was one crazy experience, you know? Like,
I mean, that's not cool because you shouldn't do that.
Of course.
You shouldn't put that on other people. Plus, Grace, your wife, is a female.
Yeah.
That would make her feel uncomfortable. But at the same time, I admire him
The balls.
for just be like, yeah, I'll drive you there,
but we're watching.
but I'm still watching porn.
Yeah. But what the weird part was, because when you watch porn, you usually would touch yourself, right? So we were like,
Am I supposed to? Do I?
No, not.
Is he?
That's what we were worried about. I was like trying to peer. I'm like, is this guy driving and jerking off or something? Like, what's going on here?
What if you were so conditioned that like you didn't realize it and then you just suddenly were?
It's like, oh, what am I doing?
And he's like, oh, guys, I mean, bit out of order.
Man, that's crazy, man. That's
So is OnlyFans considered social media yet?
Oh, I have no idea. I would assume so. I'm not the OnlyFans expert here, okay?
Do you think it would be considered social media?
Oh, sorry, I missed that. What?
OnlyFans.
I mean, you could totally make it that.
It is so. I mean, it is considered social media, right?
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's through a platform. I mean, there's an age restriction on it, but essentially it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's media. It's very social. Intimate. Maybe it's intimate media instead of
Intimate
social
media.
media. That could be a new thing.
You created something new.
There you go.
New label.
Yeah. So I meant to say, so do you know Nix? He's going to come on the podcast. Nix.
Who's Nix?
He lives here. He's born in Russia. His mum, but he's born in Russia, grew up in France. He's lived in Amsterdam. He's lived here. He's gone all over the place. Like, and he used to be like a b-boy.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Yeah.
And now he can now he skips. He posts these stuff online about skipping, but like not skipping as we know it, like doing like all these mad tricks and stuff and
like the boxers do, essentially.
oh,
like,
better than that.
Better than that. Okay.
Not doing just like crossovers and that
okay,
type of thing. Like he'll like and he'll like spin that, jump around and catch it and
Jesus,
like crazy stuff.
that
Like
sounds
it's
crazy.
like he's dancing around the road.
Okay.
But he because you like the Raptors, right?
Yeah, I love the Raptors.
He got asked to go over and do work with them.
With the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And he met Justin Trudeau.
Oh, I think you told me about this guy. Yeah.
And he met Trudeau and all sorts
Trudeau's
of stuff.
not having. He's not.
People don't like him anymore.
No, not anymore, man.
What happened?
Everybody hates him.
What
I mean, like I don't. I'm so detached. I've been here for 6 years now, right?
Yeah.
Away from Canada for so long. I'm detached. I only see what's on social media, but people don't like Trudeau.
Right.
Like he's been running things very poorly. So have you heard about the trucker thing? You heard about the trucker protest?
A little bit.
So it was all about mandates for
COVID.
And basically, the massive protest and a bunch of truckers, like there was a convoy of truckers that were headed towards Ottawa, where the parliament is, right?
Okay.
To protest.
Ottawa's the capital of Canada?
Yeah, Ottawa's the capital of Canada.
Right. Actually, now that you say it, I know it. But if you asked me before, I'd be like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably. Most people say like Toronto or Vancouver, but yeah,
Right.
it's Ottawa.
It's Ottawa.
Anyway, so he coincidentally caught COVID the day that the convoy was scheduled to come to protest.
Right.
Right? And a lot of people were calling him like a pussy for that, because it's like, oh, what a coincidence that you catch COVID and you got to self-isolate.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Or I don't think he caught COVID. It's like, oh, I had a close.
I might have it.
Yeah, I might.
I need to isolate.
I need to self-isolate for a few days to be responsible. And it's like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, there's a protest here, a bunch of people like coming to get you, basically, like not physically, but like coming at you, and you're like, I'm gonna bail. So a lot of people like that was one instance, but that's not only it. Like basically the way he's running the country, like the way that a lot of it stems from COVID. Canada apparently, like from what I've heard from my friends back home, it's the first year Canada was handling the COVID situation extremely poorly.
Okay.
There was a lot of issues going on with like mandates, and they had constant lockdowns back and forth.
Like Australia was.
Yeah, but it was really bad apparently. So yeah, like it all stems from that, and he's definitely not popular now. And it's funny because like I remember I remember when he got elected in, we were all happy.
Yeah, he was like the darling
He was a savior.
prime minister.
Before-
Prime minister or president? Prime minister.
Because before him, we had this other guy. I forgot what his name was. He was like a complete dick, right? He was a conservative guy, and like he was like another Trump. That's how we looked at him. He tried to pass this bill that was crazy, like something anti-immigrant. I remember what it was, and it was actually worrisome to me because I was abroad at that time, and they were saying like if you're living abroad, like you could lose your citizenship or something. I was like, what?
Oh, really?
That was nuts.
That's pretty.
So if I recall, I might be spitballing wrong things here, but my point is, everybody hated him. I forgot what his name was. And then when Trudeau came in, everybody's like, oh, thank God, like you know what I mean, right? And now everybody's like, we're the conservatives. Get the conservatives back in. You know what I mean? Like everybody's singing a different tune because now they're just tired of like Trudeau's democratic, or how do we call it? Yeah, liberal, the liberal party, and how they run things there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, he meeting Trudeau these days is not necessarily
It's not a good thing.
Not a good
Okay.
thing, from what I hear at least.
I'll have to let him know.
Yeah. At least from what I hear.
And so like going back into Canada and back in time, back when maybe after the time you reformed yourself after drama, I remember you telling me you used to occasionally go to some poker games that were like proper underground, but you were like young and everyone was older.
Yeah, that was fun. So I was really into poker growing up. We used to play poker like in between like. So my school was different. Like we didn't have proper classes. My high school was the one high school, or one of the experimental high schools. It was called Mary Ward Secondary High School, and basically, you know how in your high school you'd have English second period and geography third period, or what the hell it was, right?
Yep.
We would not have scheduled periods. It would run like a university in a way. So how it would work would be, you decide your course to complete a credit was 18 units, they called it, right? And if you wanted to complete that credit, you need to complete the 18 units. You do it on your own time, basically. So it was a very independent learning school where basically you could, if you were really smart, you could fast track and completely finish your course and earn your credit by January, half the time it takes, if you wanted to. Or if you were like me and procrastinated about everything, you did do any work. You know what I mean? Well, I did do some work, obviously, as I mentioned before, but I would take advantage of obviously not doing work. So we had this term called hall walking, which was basically you didn't do shit. All you did was walk the halls all day. You know what I mean? So when we were hall walking, we would just be playing poker. Like we'd find a spot and we'd just play poker hands, and sometimes we'd be walking, we'd be like just playing poker hands, like not with money or anything, but just want to see what the flop and what the turn and the river would turn out to be, and like, wow, I can't believe that would have happened, and all that kind of stuff. So I was totally into poker growing up.
How old? Like
by the time I was 15, 16, around that time again, I got introduced to poker, and then I started watching poker. So WPT, WSOP. Watched.
it's a proper into it.
Yeah, I was into it. I love Daniel Negreanu, who's a Canadian poker player. Gus Hansen, all these guys. Like, these were awesome. Like, I used to watch a lot of it.
Right.
And so we got into it to a point where we'd play late nights. Like, kids in high school staying up till 2 a.m. My mom's telling where the fuck I am, and I'm just playing poker. And then it got to a point where we started trying to find other games, and I remember finding a underground game at like this pool. I was like 17, like a billiards place.
How do you find it? Just ask around.
Yeah, so you hear word of mouth, right? Oh, I heard there's a game here. Oh, really? Because once you start playing it, right, and then maybe one of your friends knows a friend who's like, hey, there's a game here from what I heard about, whatever. Yeah. So we used to always play tournament style, which was with tournament poker, winner takes all the chips, right?
Okay.
But these were cash games.
So that's what tournament style means.
Tournament style is like, like there's 5 of us playing poker. The winner takes it all, essentially, right? And it doesn't end until everybody gets eliminated, until the last man standing. Where cash games, you can go in and out whenever you want, right? Here's $100, give me $100 worth of chips. I lost it or I won it, I'm gonna bounce. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
That's how it worked, right? So this was one of my first cash games that I tried in this underground place, and they were all like, I'm a 17-year-old kid, you know what I mean? And like these guys are like, 40-year-old, dudes, like
Really?
rough-looking dudes. Some of them were like a rough like mid-20s. Some of them were a little bit older and
Like,
all
so
that
a full mix.
Yeah.
But no one else was 17.
Yeah, exactly. And it was.
Where was it?
What do you mean? Like in?
Like what? Like what's the setting?
Okay, so
is it like in an office that's cleared
No,
out?
no. It
Is
was
it in like a basement?
It was in a private room in like the billiards bar, right?
Okay.
So like everyone else outside is playing billiards, but you go into this private room and then there's a bunch of guys playing poker. And
Is it allowed there? Is it legal?
I'm pretty sure that gambling and playing poker is legal. Raking the pot and having your own poker game is illegal. Do you know what that means? So,
No, I don't know what that means.
So if I were to set up a poker game that I invite randoms to come into, right? I would rake the pot to make money.
Oh, what, like skim off it?
Yes.
Like the house
Yes,
gets
the house
a
takes,
profit.
Exactly, right? That's illegal.
Right.
You can't set up like a casino type of setting where
Okay.
people come in, play games, and you just take a percentage off of it and rake, right? You can't do that.
Right.
But you can play poker games, right?
For money, that's allowed.
money.
Okay.
So that setup there, because they were raking, was illegal.
Right.
Right? But, playing poker itself and with money is not.
I
If you
see.
get what I'm saying, right? So yeah, I went into this game, which was I was 17. There was a bunch of guys there, and it was I felt like. I felt cool. You know what I mean? 'Cause, you're 17 years old, and there's like a waitress that comes in as well, and like because you're playing, you get free drinks. Yeah, right? Because they're just like, oh, you're spending money to play, you get a free drink. Or I was all right, great. Like I wasn't drinking gin tonics back then. I was like rum and coke or something like that, And so I'm playing, and I remember beating this one guy.
But were they looking at you like? Were they
course
kind
they
of
were.
like, who's this kid?
They thought I was a
And-
fish.
And were they? What's a fish?
A fish is like a mark. Like this guy's a fish.
Oh, we're gonna take his
Just
money.
Take all his money. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like this kid doesn't know that.
Okay, so they're not like, oh, it's annoying. It's kind of like, oh, cool.
Fresh blood,
Yeah.
more money to take.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
But yeah, I ended up. I had few of those games, like 2 or 3 of them. I went to one of them. I actually won pretty big. Like,
Was you nervous?
I was nervous as hell. Absolutely, right. And what's more nerve wracking is when you win, because when you win, it's rude to leave right away. You know, like you want to give the other players a chance to win it back. You can't like, all right, I just took like $500 of money. All right, I'm gonna cash out. Thank you.
You can't do that.
Like, I mean, you can technically, but you're probably gonna get your ass kicked, or like people will be like, "Yo, fuck you." You know what I mean? Because,
Really?
Yeah, it's etiquette,
Uh-huh.
right? Because
So there's unspoken rules, or
Yes.
not unspoken, but there's
yeah, because imagine you being the guy who just lost $500 to another guy, and now you can't get it back because he just bounced.
but that's
I know, right? But you can technically do it, but it's etiquette to give the guy a chance. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I didn't know that.
Okay.
So I remember I tried to leave, right? And I was like, oh, I just want a big pot. I want like $300. You know what I mean? Like to me, at that time,
I'm
it's a lot of
ahead,
money.
let's get
You know,
out,
I was like,
yeah.
all right, I'm gonna bounce right now. And I was just about to like ask for a cash out, and my friend was with me, and he's like, "Are you dumb?"
He could sense what you were
He's
doing.
like, "Don't do that, man. Like that's really bad." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I got so
So
nervous.
so you're allowed to have someone nearby?
Yeah, like, cause like I didn't go there by myself. You know, I didn't have that big cojones. You know what I mean? To be 17-year-old kid walking here, yeah, let me play. Like, I had a friend with me, obviously, right? And we were both playing.
Okay.
And I just won the pot, and I was like, oh, I think I'm good. I won $300.
Well, you were just gonna leave your friend there.
Well, I was gonna cash out. I was gonna leave him. I was gonna cash out.
And then wait and watch.
and wait, because I
Okay.
wanted to save that money now. I won
Okay.
that money. I don't wanna let it go.
That's your money.
Exactly. But my friend was like, he forced me to stay because he's like, man, etiquette. And I lost it. I ended up losing it anyways after a few hands, right? But yeah, so that's what's nerve wracking is these etiquette things. And sometimes when you do win a big pot, like I remember there was one guy who won like maybe 1,000 or 2. You're worried to leave, right? Because you could get jumped.
Was it in a bit of a bad area?
I mean, it's not the best area, it's not like, all the rich people,
Right.
but definitely like
So a couple of grand is worth
a couple of
worth
grand-
jumping someone
oh,
for.
Absolutely. Dude, I got robbed for $5 once. You know what I mean? Like literally, like, and it was by gunpoint too, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Like it was in Toronto, and I remember, this guy just walked. Like I knew we were gonna get robbed, 100%, because I saw the guy's face and I walked by him, and I've been robbed a few times, right? Like, and robbed as in like getting jumped and like, you know, like something like the bunch of like when I was growing up, they take my hat or they like try to steal my shoes or something like that.
Yeah, stealing trainers.
Yeah, stealing trainers. Maybe I was wearing Jordans. I want those Jordans. You know, I've heard of people that got robbed and had to walk home in their socks in the winter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they got robbed for their Jordans or whatever. But in any case, I knew this guy was gonna rob us. We were walking by and he looked at us and he called us back, if I recall. And as soon as he called us back, he started walking towards us, and I was with my other friend Paul, coincidentally, and I was telling my friend Paul, I was like, dude, we're gonna get robbed, right? And lo and behold, he robbed us. He showed us his gun, right? And he was like, yo, give me whatever you got. And I was like, all right.
Sure.
Here, $5. You know what I mean? That's literally all I had, right? But yeah, man, you get robbed.
Was he thinking that you got more? And
yeah, he was like, no, you got more than that. I was like, dude, like literally, like you want to look at my wallet? If you want, or you can have my whole wallet. I've got my library card in there, my student card. Feel free. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't worth it, obviously. Yeah. Right. But yeah, so $1,000, hell yeah, you get robbed for that.
Yeah.
You know what
Okay.
I mean? If people are gonna rob you for like $5, you know? Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember when I was younger, yeah, like getting robbed for your trainers or rolled. They call it rolled.
Rolled. Okay.
Yeah, like I don't know if like it was easy pickings in Sydney or whatever. Like a couple of times there was people from LA would fly there, and do, like I met two dudes that did this, and they were like,
oh, they fly there to rob people?
yeah.
What?
Like they were like proper colors and all that. Who was from the blue one?
Yeah.
What's that?
What do you mean?
You know,
Blue
Crips and Bloods.
Oh,
Crips. It was a Crips.
Yeah.
Blue.
Oh, you mean like gang? Like they were like gang
Proper.
affiliated.
Yeah. Like I don't know how up or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
affiliated. Yeah, and he was said that he was a
Crip.
A Crip, right? That's the blue one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because blood red.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I'd met two people like that. They would, you know, like I was like 15 or whatever. They're older.
Yeah.
And yeah, like they'd go there and do some robbing, and it'd cover the cost of the flights and
Just gonna
stuff.
go do some robbing.
Yeah, it would cover the cost of flights. Yeah,
This is just, it's a business expense.
sort of, right? I don't know. Like it must be because there's not many guns there and that.
Yeah,
It's probably
yeah.
like safer.
Crazy, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, man.
It's
Like-
kind of interesting. And then because I think it got bad in Australia. Can you remember the Guardian Angels?
What's that? Is that a gang?
No, they were like a group of vigilantes, and they'd wear red berets.
Oh shit. Okay.
And they
This was in Australia.
no, it's from America.
Oh, okay.
And they would like protect people, right? And they'd ride the subway.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Some of those
It's like
started
a community militia in a way.
yeah, and they were kind of like physical, right?
Yeah.
Like, but some of those dudes started coming over. Like, and I don't know if they were people that started.
Coming over to protect.
I don't know if they.
robbing?
I don't know if they flew over or like someone started a branch of it or
Hold on. So they
in
flew
Australia.
over to help
Well,
protect
that's
people from robbing, from getting robbed.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they flew over or they were people that were already here and they started it. I'm not sure, but people you'd see occasionally that red beret, and
Yeah.
I think they used to wear like military combat sort of
That's crazy.
clothing a bit. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like honestly, like I think that catching a beating is not a bad thing. Sometimes. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you need it.
Sometimes you need to catch a beating, and sometimes, like, especially growing up, right? You know, we all caught our beatings. You know what I mean? You know, as long as it's a beating, you know.
Yeah,
it's fine.
and nothing more.
Nothing more. These days, that's a problem with things these days now, right? Is that it's not just a beating anymore, right? Everybody's afraid to catch a beating, but nobody's afraid to kill someone.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And that's what's scary about like Toronto or.
Is it rough there now? Is it?
I mean, look, Toronto's a big city, man. Toronto's a huge fucking city, and there's a lot of there are mini diasporas within its own self in society. You know what I mean? In the certain areas, because I grew up in Scarborough is a bit rougher, I guess people would say, consider it that. So yeah, I mean, I think that from what I can see, at least from afar, because you know it's been a long time, things gotten worse. From people are getting shot for no reason. A lot of guns, a lot of gang violence these days. You know, actually, I was in Toronto 2 years ago, like pre-COVID, obviously, and I was with my wife and a bunch of our Toronto friends, and we were out clubbing, right, in downtown Toronto, and we were walking home to my wife's friend's place just down the street from the club. And there was this one guy there who was throwing up or something, like he was sick, obviously. And one of the guys that were with us, he made a quip about it. Like nothing too bad. Like he was like, ugh, or like something like that, right? Dude, the guy who was throwing up, he flipped a switch. Like he was like, "What? Come over, pussy. What you want to say to my face?" You know, and like, you know,
if I get to that point and I'm throwing up, I can't be stopping.
I know.
Someone say something to me.
Yeah, he was just like, it's like he lost all sickness and just got angry.
Yeah,
you know
suddenly
I mean?
he's good.
My point is that what flipped my switch was I was like, I told everybody shut up. Because he was saying things, and then other people in the group started like kind of yelling back, sort of in a way, or like, yo, what are you talking, like whatever.
It's better.
I told my friends, I was just like, guys, shut the fuck up, because you don't know what's gonna happen, right? That guy could have a gun. That guy could do like, you know, these days, like it's not.
You don't know.
Yeah, you know, back in the day, that's what I'm saying. Like back in the day, you catch a beating, you know what I mean? You know, you get hurt, you get jumped. Worst case scenario, you know what I mean? Like the worst of what happens, somebody gets put in the hospital because the beating was too much. Okay, but now there's guns. You know, now there's like, you know, there's it's too easy to get guns and people just shooting each other. You know, so it's again, just catching a beating is one thing, but these days it's nuts.
I remember in Sydney it was dodgy around the cinemas. There's like a cinema area, right? You know, like kids hang out there and then
smoking cigarettes.
And there's a time zone. I don't know if you guys had that one where it's where all the arcade games are and stuff like that.
Yeah, we call it time zone too.
Right.
Huh.
It must be the same. I've seen one here.
Oh, okay.
It must be a company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that where maybe things like that can sort of happen. And I remember, someone come to us and like I want your trainers. Like I think I might have had that you know, the original Nike cross trainer.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I had that. You know, it had that like strap down the front.
What brand is a Nike cross trainer?
The original Nike cross trainer.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, okay,
you know, the original ones.
Yeah, okay.
And and they were like older than us and stuff like that. And then we just like ran and we got chased far, like, you know, like out of the cinema sort of area, down across the street, across the traffic, like kind of like not really looking, and run across all through another mall. Like they were like keen, and then chasing, like running and
Jeez.
like shitting ourselves, like, because they were like at least 3 or 4 years older.
Yeah.
Running and like got to the train barrier, like and kind of like jumped over it, and it was like we kind of felt safe because they kind of stopped there, and then kind of felt sort of a bit safe. And then my mates turned around going, "Yeah, fuck you," and all this. I'm like, "What the fuck?
Why can we just got out of this situation?"
and then they were like, "We'll remember you.
Oh man,
we're gonna remember you," like that. And we was like,
did they ever find you again?
We didn't go in there for a little while.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I had a similar situation. The first time I ever got jumped, I was with my best mate, Mina. You might meet him. He's coming to visit.
Right.
It's funny because he knew we were going to get jumped because there were these 2 guys that kept looking at us and like following us. We were at a flea market. We were looking for like, I don't know what the fuck we were looking for. We were kids.
Fleas.
No, a flea market.
Yeah, you're in a flea market.
Yeah, you don't look for fleas.
Okay.
But in any case, like we're and like my friend Mia was like, we're gonna get robbed. And lo and behold, we did get robbed, and we had to run. Like I was like running, and like they got me actually. So Mina, the smart one, he ran across the street and hid in a funeral home. Yeah, he literally like hid in a funeral home, like went into the bathroom.
Was it one on?
Yeah, because we split ways, right? Like. We're like, yo, they're following us, and they're like, let's run for it. Then we ran, and they started running after us. So we're like, fuck. And then it was me, a friend of ours named Sunny, growing up, and Mina. Me and Sunny went one way. Mina went the other way, very smartly, right? So me and Sunny end up getting jumped. You know what I mean? So they like beat us up, and like I think they took my hat or something like that, and like whatever.
There's always hats and trainers.
Hats and
money.
Man. Yeah. You know, but it's like we're kids. Not like we're gonna have money anyways.
Right.
Right. All we have is our clothes on our back. Let's just steal that then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I had a similar situation. It was fun.
Yeah,
Funny.
right.
Not fun, but funny.
No, but it's exciting at the time, and then if you, hopefully you get away, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, these types of experiences shape you, right?
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
So, I mean, I've been in scenarios where I was like, wow, that was pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel that my upbringing kind of helped me have the resilience in a way to deal with those types of situations. Whereas
Definitely.
I know, like, for example, like, you know, there's certain people that I know and that are a little more sheltered.
Yeah.
Right? And don't have those types of experiences, and then they probably wouldn't be able to, like, you know, deal with that sort of scenario.
But I think it helps you compete in a business world as well. Like, you're just like a little bit more aware. Like, there's a sense inside.
Like a street smartness.
Yeah, inside your head, which can alert you to maybe someone who's not being truthful, maybe someone who's kind of like hiding something, but also just a different level of awareness, I think.
Being able to think on your feet quickly.
Yeah. I also think, like, when you're young and naughty, you know, like, I imagine most kids have stolen something at some point, right? Like, you know, when you steal something, you're trying to not get caught, but you're trying to not get caught by an adult.
Yeah.
So if you have been a little bit naughty when you're young and have had some mischief and managed to not end up in jail or something like that, like when you go to work, you've already been competing with adults, you know, sort of thing. And there's something in that, I think.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, there's obviously some sort of, like, switched, you know, being street smart is a thing.
Yeah.
You know, they're like...
It is. I hate how people say it.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, street smart. You know, you're book smart, I'm street smart. Like, I know it sounds...
No, but it is...
Cringy.
It is...
But it's a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely some value that people who are street smart versus book smart, and vice versa as well, right? Like, fuck, man. Like, being a recruiter, like, I deal with really intelligent people, and it's like, damn, you guys are smart as hell. But you can tell some of them are lacking on the street smart.
And then you just
side
bully
of
him.
Yeah, right? That's my job. Give me that.
Man, we have to wrap it up. We've got someone else is
Yeah, that's
coming
cool, man.
soon.
Cool.
So, thanks.
Honestly, thanks for having me. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
I talk a lot, so...
No,
hopefully
man, it was good. It was enjoyable. It was nice to chat.
Yeah, man, it was nice.
I hope you don't get too itchy from the crazy cat.
No, it's cool. Like, I've been feeling itchy. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why.
She hasn't appeared yet.
It's funny because, like, I've never. Your cat's quite fluffy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that must be it. Because usually, like, you know, my wife's cousin has a cat, and we hang out there sometimes. And short hair cat though. You know, there's no issues.
Yeah, right.
You know, but it's all good.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
All right, man.
Thanks for being
having
on.
me. Cool.